to one of my favorite cities, the gateway to the...
And a record crowd is gathering on a cool, crisp autumn day in St. Louis. It's the pressure of October baseball. Gary Gaetti's three-run first-inning homer put the Cardinals ahead in Game 1. But Rickey Henderson's solo homer and outstanding defense kept the Padres close. Still ahead 3-1, Tony La Russa looked to future Hall of Fame closer Dennis Eckersley to wrap it up. But then, in the ninth, he faced another future Hall of Famer, and Rickey won that battle. Now the stage was set for seven-time batting champ Tony Gwynn. This time, Eckersley and the Cardinals got the victory. Now, Bruce Bochy's Padres have had a full day to reflect upon a frustrating, disappointing loss in Game 1 and a must-win in Game 2, when all eyes will be upon them. It's a perfect October afternoon in St. Louis. Game 2 of the National League Division Series coming up. The Padres and the St. Louis Cardinals. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller along with Joe Morgan, and welcome to our telecast today. As it was yesterday for Cleveland in Baltimore, it's a must-win for the San Diego Padres. Of course, that's because the Cardinals won that first game. They're led by a veteran, Gary Gaetti. Now another veteran, the Wizard, will lead them today. He's in the lineup for St. Louis, and their top pitcher, Andy Bennis, is going too, Joe.
Well, you're right. Andy Bennis has been on a roll. He won 17 of his last 20 decisions. And anytime Ozzie Smith is on the field, you get this crowd excited. Plus, he gives some playoff experience and leadership to this ball club.
And there's no guarantee that Ozzie will ever play another ball game here at Busch Stadium, so there's a lot of emotion surrounding that as well. Now, for the San Diego Padres, another veteran, and he looked like his old self here on Tuesday. The greatest leadoff man perhaps in history, Rickey Henderson, and they need him big time here today, Joe.
Well, they need Rickey Henderson today, John, but they also need Ken Caminetti to step up. They're going to have to score some runs today because this is Scott Sanders' first playoff appearance, and you want to give him something to work with. I think it's important for the Padres to score first. Thus, Rickey Henderson becomes more important than normal, but he needs to get on base, make something happen, and Caminetti or Gwynn needs to pick him up.
It's been a great year for the Padres, but they need a win today before they head back to San Diego. The Padres and the Cardinals, Game 2 from St. Louis, coming up. ESPN's coverage of the National League Division Series is brought to you by Jaguar Cars. For more information about the new 1997 Jaguars, call 1-800-4JAGUAR.
Sad, isn't it? Finding out you paid too much for your stereo. Circuit City, you can't find a lower price. We guarantee it.
2 Days in the Valley is a hit. USA Today says it never runs out of gas.
These people spread disease.
The New York Times calls it amusingly nasty.
You've never done that before. He's in a bed?
The LA Times loves the spandex catfight of the year.
She's one hell of an athlete.
A wildly amusing comedy of dark misadventure. 2 thumbs up.
worth consideration.
2 Days in the Valley. Rated R. Now playing.
Aluminum. Most new car radiators are made of it, making them a big target for pitting and failure. But Prestone antifreeze bonds with aluminum, forming the Prestone zone of protection against corrosion. This winter, protect your car in the Prestone zone. And now there's a new Prestone antifreeze with a new low-tox formula for an extra margin of safety around pets and wildlife. New Prestone Low-Tox. It's extra protection in the Prestone zone.
This morning, strange things are happening all over the world. Shops are about to open empty. Parts suppliers are partless, and assembly workers have nothing to assemble. Is this any way to run a business? With FedEx, it is. Every morning, the world gets just what it wants, just when it needs it, without expensive warehousing. Gone today, here again tomorrow. Now that's the way the world works.
John Miller and Joe Morgan back in downtown St. Louis. Just moments away from getting started here at jam-packed Busch Stadium on the shores of the Mississippi. It is just a beautiful day. The game time temperature will be right around 60 degrees, but the ball game is just ideal for this time of year. Now the FedEx batting order for Bruce Bochy's San Diego Padres. It will be Ricky Henderson leading it off in left field. And, of course, he had a big day here in Game 1, both on the field and with the crowd. Tony Gwynn in right field. Steve Finley, a big year in center field. Ken Caminetti, big year, but a bad game on Tuesday at third base. Wally Joyner, the veteran, at first. John Flaherty, his first action in a week back from an injury. He's the catcher. Chris Gomez, another Tiger refugee at shortstop. Jody Reed, the veteran, at second base. And Scott Sanders, the still fairly young right-hander, gets the big start for the Padres today. For St. Louis, Andy Bennis, the former Padre, but he had his biggest year of his career this year here in St. Louis, an 18-game winner, Joe.
And I think one of the reasons, John, is because he started using both sides of the plate. He started changing speeds more, the changeup and the slow curve, and he throws a fastball and a slider. There you can see his control, very, very good.
They are expecting a record crowd for the ball game here today. They say it might be the largest crowd, not just in the history of this ballpark, but the history of sports in Missouri.
And there you're going to look at the Cardinals defense. Ozzie Smith, the big story. He is playing shortstop today. He has won 13 gold gloves in his career. And you can see that's third all-time as far as winning gold gloves is concerned. But Ozzie Smith always adds a little excitement to a ball game.
Ricky Henderson will stand in now for the San Diego Padres. Ricky, who had that incredible postseason back in 1989 when with Tony La Russa and the Oakland Athletics. Ricky that year hit 400 in the league championship series and won the MVP of that. And then in the World Series against the Giants, he hit 474. And of course, Ricky, as Joe mentioned, is a guy who can come in and dominate a game. And the count 1-1 to Ricky Henderson.
And when I saw Ricky early in the year, John, he was not aggressive. He was trying to get a walk on every at bat. And now he's more aggressive. He's been swinging the bat much better. And there you see what he has done in his postseason career, 42 games. But he is a lot different now. He's more aggressive, more confident now.
And the slider from Bennis misses. 2-1 the count. Bennis, a real hard thrower. Excellent slider. With a fastball on the outside.
It had to be a tough decision for Bruce Bochy to decide not to play Vaughn today, Greg Vaughn, because Vaughn hit a home run off Bennis the last time they played in the regular season that helped the Padres win a ball game. But he decides to go with Ricky Henderson today.
And down he goes. Strike three call, and Ricky did not like the call by Davis, the plate umpire. And the fans get on Ricky's case. He's the man they love to hate.
Well, I was talking about him using both sides of the plate. Well, strike 2 is on the outside corner. Strike 3 is on the inside corner. And that's what you do if you're Andy Bennis. Inside, outside. Ricky thought the ball was inside. He wasn't really squawking. He just asked the umpire a question, which is okay.
And a fastball for a strike to Tony Gwynn. Gwynn, the batting champion, a .353 season. But like his ball club, Gwynn had a tough day here on Tuesday. It should be an easy play in left field for Ron Gant over in left center. And 2 men are gone.
Well, that's it. Andy Bennis got off to a slow start, and 1-7 is very slow. Earned run average over 5. Then he came back his next 26 starts. He went 17-3, and he became the first 18-game winner here for the Cardinals in quite a few years. He is on a roll, so to speak, now, and you can see he's throwing the ball much better, staying out in front of all these hitters.
And strike 1 to Steve Finley. Finley had a breakthrough year for the Padres this year. He hit .298, and he had 30 homers, 45 doubles, 9 triples, and 95 runs batted in. Former teammate of Brady Anderson, who also had a breakthrough year in Baltimore this year. Both broke through at the same time. He and Brady used to play in the same outfield in Baltimore, and it was said at that time, man, we can't have 2 of these guys in there, fast guys who don't hit home runs. And they traded Finley eventually to Houston.
And they hit 80 home runs between them this year, right?
And it's interesting, though, it was Johnny Oates, now the Rangers manager, who gave Brady his first chance to play every day, making him the leadoff man in '92. And Johnny Oates, when he had Finley in the minor leagues in the Orioles system, told Finley, he said, you know, I see you one day as being a guy who hits with some power. He didn't say necessarily 30 home runs, but he thought 15 to 20. It turns out he was right. Finley hitting with more than just some power. 2-2 the count to Finley. Two down, nobody on. Ken Caminetti on deck. Bennis staying with that high fastball. He's a power type pitcher, Joe, so that's not surprising.
And a lot of times he'll get ahead with the breaking balls and go upstairs, and you'll be able to get most of the hitters out. There you see Ken Caminetti. He's on deck. But Finley's a pretty good fastball hitter, and he's been able to foul the ones off upstairs in this at bat.
And as he did with Henderson, he tries to sneak a fastball by on the inside to Finley, but this time he did not get the call.
And he gave it the little walk. Now watch, he throws his pitch and he starts to walk off the mound. He thought it was strike 3. Right there, he thinks it's strike 3, but it is not.
That is strike 3. A great start for Andy Bennis. 3 up and 3 down. Ozzie Smith coming up.
Take it on.
You've always made a great team. Together growing, dreaming, caring, and sharing the rewards along the way. Park Avenue. For the comfort, for the luxury, for the quality. Congratulations. You've earned it. Buick Park Avenue.
Richter, Leach, Messier, and now Gretzky. The Great One makes his Ranger debut on Broadway in the season opener against the Florida Panthers. ESPN2's season-long NHL coverage premieres with this year's recharged Rangers facing off against last year's Stanley Cup finalists, Messier and Gretzky, together again in another quest for the Cup. Florida at New York, Sunday at 7 on ESPN2.
Game 2 of the National League Division Series between the Padres and the Cardinals. No score as the Cardinals come to bat here in their home ballpark. Scott Sanders on the mound for the San Diego Padres in a must-win situation. Of course, he was a reliever for the early part of the season. The FedEx Cardinals lineup, Ozzie Smith in there, leading it off at shortstop. Willie McGee center field, Ron Gant left field, Ryan Jordan in right, Gaetti, one of the heroes of Game 1 at third base, John Mabry at first base, Pagnazzi the catcher, Alicea at second, and Andy Bennis is hitting ninth, and the ovation is for the Wizard.
And Ozzie with a little tip of the hat, because this could possibly be his last game in front of the fans here at Busch Stadium.
And Sanders, who's a hard thrower, misses ball one, a native of Missouri, from Hannibal, Missouri. His first 30 appearances this year were all as a relief pitcher. Did not make his first start until July the 5th. And there's ball two to Ozzie.
Well, you can expect Sanders to be off a little bit with the first few pitches. You know, maybe overthrowing a little bit. He has to relax. The first playoff game is always a little nerve-wracking. I mean, you can ask Ken Caminetti that from his first game.
3-0.
But the one thing you do not want him to do is, even though he's not throwing strikes, is to ease up. He still has to throw the ball. Don't start aiming it.
And it's a 4-pitch walk to Ozzie Smith. And another Cardinal veteran. There's some great Cardinal teams of the past. Willie McGee is coming up.
And you see the Padres defense. John Flaherty behind the plate, out with a sprained ankle. He is now back in the lineup, and hopefully that will give the Padres a little more offense. At least that's what they hope in this ball game. I tell you what, he's not going to walk McGee unless he bounces him. Willie McGee usually does not take a lot of strikes.
Ozzie Smith, 40 years plus years of age, and Ozzie with 7 steals this year. Still runs fairly well, you know, for an old guy. And it's ball one to Willie McGee. Sanders has not yet thrown one in the strike zone. Sanders averaged 3 walks for every 9 innings he pitched this year. Middle infield, double play depth. And it is 2-0. And now time is taken by the catcher Flaherty to go out and talk to this young right-hander, who obviously is not starting the way that he had hoped.
Well, you definitely do not want your young pitcher to start off struggling in a game as important as this one is. That's why I felt it was important for the Padres to try to score first, to give him a little chance to relax.
Tony La Russa going with the veterans here. Ozzie Smith leading off, and McGee. And that is a strike. Sanders finally finding that strike zone for the first time. I mean, with Ozzie Smith and Willie McGee, I mean, you had a Cardinals World Championship team in '82, and they were both key members of the Cardinals at that time. And then, of course, in '85 against Kansas City, they were in the series. '87 against Minnesota. That is a foul ball down the right field line. 2-2 to McGee. Now, one thing is for sure, I mean, Ozzie Smith will take a walk, but it's for many years been kind of tough to walk Willie McGee. Scott Sanders in his most recent start, very important ball game, was just this past Friday night at Dodger Stadium. Again, the Padres won 5-2 in 10 innings. He went 6 innings in that ball game, had 9 strikeouts against the Dodgers. Ozzie back to the bag at first. Join around the bag with him there. Sanders overall this year, the strikeout pitcher for the Padres, 144 innings pitched, and he had 157 strikeouts. Looking Ozzie back again at first base. In 8 of his last 9 starts during the year, as he seemed to get stronger as the season went along, he gave up 2 runs or less. That's in 8 of the last 9. 2-2 the count. And he struck him out.
You know, it's very difficult, as I said, to walk Willie McGee, so he got a break with Willie McGee being second. Willie chases this pitch out of the strike zone. It looks like it's just a changeup. Throws a fastball, slider, and a change, and this pitch goes down, and Willie's way out in front. It's the first changeup, obviously, he's thrown the entire ball game because he was having trouble getting his fastball over.
John Smoltz, who led the league in strikeouts, but he pitched a lot more innings than did Sanders. Although it's misleading as Gant takes ball one inside, because when you pitch as many innings as Smoltz and you get that many strikeouts, well, that says something. Oftentimes, relief pitchers have much higher strikeout totals.
Well, they
only pitch an inning.
Right, they come in, they can throw as hard as they can for a short period of time, whereas the starter has to pace himself.
The breaking ball to Gant, and that misses for ball one. Ron Gant, 30, or ball two, I beg your pardon. Ron Gant with 30 home runs during the regular season for the Cardinals in only 122 games. He, like the Cardinals as a team, got off to a real slow start this year. And then, belatedly, they got it going. They won the division. That one is hit high in the air down the left field line. Tony Gwynn, he makes the catch in foul ground. Ozzie Smith tags up at first base. I said Tony Gwynn. Ricky Henderson, I beg your pardon again. Ricky Henderson making the grab, and Ozzie went halfway to second base and has to return to first.
Good play there by Ricky. He got over there in plenty of time, set himself, caught the ball, and then he made a good throw to second base. Now watch, he'll get over there in plenty of time. Now he sets himself because he knows that Ozzie Smith will take off. So he doesn't take any time, throws it back in, and he holds Ozzie Smith at first base.
Ricky, a one-time Gold Glove outfielder, one of the best left fielders in the game in his prime. Two down. Here is Brian Jordan. No score, first inning, two down. Ozzie still at first base, and that slider, a nice one, breaks over the inside for a called strike.
Well, the thing that's saved Sanders so far, John, is he has a good enough fastball that he can throw it when he's behind an account. He had to throw Gant that 2-0 fastball, and I've seen Gant park those in the upper deck. And he also did the same thing with Willie McGee. So he's been able to throw his fastball behind an account. That will keep you out of trouble a lot of times.
And Jordan chased a bad ball. Looked like the old Brian Jordan there. He used to chase a lot of bad balls, but he also broke through this year. 310 average, 17 homers, 104 RBIs. Against Sanders, he hasn't quite figured it out yet. 2 for 11, 5 times he struck out against Sanders. 0-2 the count. Sanders has rebounded nicely after starting the inning with 6 consecutive pitches out of the strike zone. Ozzie, who walked, still at first base. And the fastball misses down and in kind of an odd-looking motion, Joe. It'll take a while to pick him up again.
Well, he falls off the mound, and he's, like you say, unorthodox, so you do have trouble picking up the ball from his motion. If a guy just stands there and throws 3/4, you know a spot to look at, but his body's falling all over the place, so it is more difficult to pick it up. And he kind of slings the ball a little bit.
Scott Sanders, whose body falls all over the place. Ozzie Smith with his lead from first. Joyner still on the bag with him. The second baseman for the Padres, Reed, shaded toward the middle against Jordan. There goes Ozzie. And down on strikes goes Jordan. Second strikeout of the inning for Sanders. Caminetti coming up. No score after 1 from St. Louis.
Don't let a new car payment be a financial burden. Call 1-800-32-SMART about Smart Lease by GMAC. It's an affordable way to drive off with a new GM vehicle. And it might even give you something you wouldn't mind carrying around.
Recently, an independent group of brewmasters and beer experts conducted a tasting of just about every major beer in the country. For 4 months, they sampled regular and ice beers for character, flavor, and overall quality. And in the end, the judges named one beer the best tasting beer in America, Old Milwaukee. So when you want the best tasting beer, now you know where to turn. Old Milwaukee.
Roll into Pep Boys right now and get a full set of 4 70,000-mile tires for just $169. That's any size, any 4 70,000-mile tires in stock for just $169 at Pep Boys now.
That wide brown stripe means we're in for a harsh winter. No, mild winter. Wait, it's the black stripes, which means blizzards.
While opinions on the weather have differed, folks have always agreed Lennox is the name to trust for heating and cooling.
Let's ask Dave.
And you can still count on Lennox today, even if you can't count on the forecast.
Got a question, boys? Never mind.
Lennox, one less thing to worry about.
Soon, you'll be able to know immediately if statements like these are true. Mr. Gullible. ESPN News Network, the 24-hour sports news network from ESPN. Who else?
No score after 1 inning from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Andy Bennis on the mound for the Cardinals, an 18-game winner, but he got off to a terrible start, 1-7. He told us how he turned it around.
I may be putting a little bit too much pressure on myself, and I was maybe trying a little bit too hard, but when you're 1-7, it's not going to get much worse. And my cousin in San Diego called me and said, you got to rent the Rocky video. I know you've seen it. Rocky was down and out. You know, he was a champ, but he was down and out. But he fought back and he won the title.
So the Rocky video, a key to improved performance. And there's strike one to Ken Caminetti, who himself would like to have a little improved performance after striking out 3 times in game 1 on Tuesday. Not just striking out 3 times, but with men on base all 3 times. And quickly, Bennis is ahead of him, 0-2 here. Caminetti, of course, during the year did it all for the Padres, especially with the bat. 40 homers, 130 batted in, 326 average. And they need him to start driving in the runs again. Well, he's down on 3 pitches, Joe.
Well, it's hard to swing as hard as he's swinging with his head moving and pulling out to be able to make contact. He's just over swinging. He's just going to have to relax a little bit. You can't make up for the 3 strikeouts in this first at bat. And you see just swinging at that high fastball. And we mentioned it earlier, only Steve Finley is going to be able to foul that pitch off. I don't even think Tony Gwynn handles that ball well up there. So you're going to have to lay off of that pitch.
93 miles an hour on the Jugs gun. So one man is gone. Here's Wally Joyner. Joyner, 277 during the regular season for the Padres. And he fouls one out of play. Joyner tore some ligaments in his thumb, and when he first went down with an injury, the Padres all of a sudden collapsed. They could not beat anybody without Wally. Of course, they did get themselves straightened out later and won the division. Wally said he will not be totally right, though, coming back from the injury until he's been able to rest it for a good long while during the winter, and it'll be next year before he's at 100%. 0-2 the count to Joyner. Bennis has only thrown strikes so far in this inning. And another strikeout. He has struck out 4 of the 5 Padres he's faced.
Well, I think one of the problems again is it seemed like they're all chasing pitches out of the strike zone. They're not getting strikes. You have to make Andy Bennis work if you're going to handle him. You have to make him throw strikes. And we saw Caminetti going on strike out a pitch high above his head. We see Joyner swing at one off the plate and down and in. You just have to make him throw strikes.
2 down, nobody on. Here is John Flaherty. Flaherty, the former Tiger. And Kevin Towers might have made the trade of the year. Traded Brad Ausmus as part of that deal, who was not hitting at all. And then Flaherty came over. And one of the longest hitting streaks of any hitter this year. Hit over 300. And did a great job as a receiver behind the plate, too. Towers looked like a genius with that trade, and Gomez did a fine job at short. Bennis misses. 2-1 the count.
One of the things that Bennis does well, John, is that he gets the ball, he gets ready, and he throws it. That helps him. It doesn't give him time to overthink. It helps his defense, and it just gets him into a rhythm. You like to have a rhythm if you're a pitcher.
there's some of that 93-mile-an-hour rhythm. 2-2 the count to Flaherty. Well, it's fun to see Bennis come on like he did this year. Slider, and he misses. 3-2 the count. And then he had gotten a reputation as being an underachiever when with the Padres. They finally traded him to Seattle in the stretch run last year. And it looked like more of the same when he could not win at the beginning of this year, but then he turned it around big time. 3-2. And a high fly ball into the shadows in the right field corner. Jordan has it. 6 in a row retired by Andy Bennis. Gary Gaetti, Tuesday's hero, coming up for the Cardinals when we get back.
Hey, Charles, 3 swings and you're out.
Who are you?
I'm the boatman's guy, your golf advisor in a tree. I want to talk to you about a boatman's home equity line. Low rates, interest is usually tax deductible. Heck, you could pay for a golf trip to Scotland.
Sounds good.
Unfortunately, you can't buy a new golf swing. Have you thought about my new golf video? It's called Go Ahead and Kick It. No one's looking.
You coming out of that tree?
Not anytime soon.
We used race car tricks to make Stratus stick. Now we're performing similar tricks with a truck. The new Dodge Dakota. It's full of surprises. Neon taught us that cars can be fun. Now we're having fun again, playing a slightly different game. The new Dodge Dakota. It's full of surprises.
On the third ball from the sun, centered over a northern continent in the state of Missouri, people are gravitating to a new ball game. Daily Millions from the Missouri Lottery, where humans have the chance to win $1 million 7 days a week. And even more out of this world, you could win tickets to pro football's championship game. See store for details. Play Daily Millions from the Missouri Lottery. It's out of this world.
Game 2 of the National League Division Series between the Padres and Cardinals. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. And Joe, here's Gary Gaetti, the Tuesday hero, kind of living out a dream. He grew up a couple of hours from here, Centralia, Illinois. He said it was always his dream to one day star for the Cardinals, the team he rooted for, in a World Series. Now he's got a chance to actually make that dream happen.
Well, when I talked to Tony La Russa before the ball game, he said he really had a lot of big hits for him. And he's been one of the keys because, you know, he's a leader on the infield as well, especially when Ozzie Smith is not in there. But he's had a lot of big hits down the stretch for him.
One hit well in the left center field, but Ricky Henderson is there. And Gaetti is retired. And, of course, again, they react to Ricky. No matter what he does out there, the people get on him. Tony La Russa used to manage Ricky Henderson in Ricky's great days in Oakland. And, of course, they all had a lot of great days in Oakland with La Russa as manager. And now he comes to St. Louis, and his first year here, they're in the postseason. Dave Duncan, his pitching coach, who came along with him from Oakland. But this Cardinal ball club turned around this year after some very bad years here in St. Louis. Here's Mabry, strike one.
This is a very different ball club than the one he had in Oakland. Remember, they do not have any big stars here, John, so to speak. They got some real good players. They've got guys who had great individual years, but they do not have like an MVP candidate this year, you know, when you look at all the numbers. Yet they were able to win by playing together as a team and doing what they were supposed to do for the team. I mean, Gant has 30 home runs, but he doesn't have the 100 RBIs to go with it. Jordan had the 100 RBIs, but he doesn't have the 30 home runs. He had 300. He probably had their best year, but you've got guys on the Cardinal team who really were stars, and Ricky, of course, was an MVP when he was in Oakland. So they have, it's a different type of ball clubs that he's managing here than the ones he had in Oakland. He had some stars, some superstars that did it year in and year out there.
Todd Stottlemyre, who certainly did it here on Tuesday, his first postseason victory. One thing they do have is they have a lot of veteran talent. I mean, Ozzie Smith, Gary Gaetti, Billy McGee, Ron Gant. These guys have all been in the postseason many times in the past, and they know what October baseball is all about. Now for Mabry, this is his first October experience. And Sanders with his third strikeout. We got a strikeout contest going here. Bennis with 4 in 2 innings, and Sanders now with 3 as Tom Pagnozzi heads up to the plate.
Well, all the hitters are chasing pitches out of the strike zone. It's a changeup from Sanders, or a little slider. It's a little slider that's down and out of the strike zone, and Mabry chases it. I don't think there's been but one pitch that was a strike for strike 3, and that was the one Ricky Henderson was called out on.
Here's Tom Pagnozzi. First ball swinging, center field. Steve Finley. And that is it. 6 in a row retired by Sanders since his leadoff walk in the first. Chris Gomez coming up with the Padres. No score after 2 in St. Louis.
Take a stroll down memory lane at the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
You crushed my knee, was your toes. You broke my ribs, it was your nose. Ah, yes. I remember it well. You sacked me once. I sacked you twice. In pouring rain. No, it was nice. Ah, yes.
But when you go, don't forget your Visa card, because the Hall takes the NFL's best, but not American Express.
See ya, Nitschke.
It's Butkus.
Ah, yeah.
Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Black diamonds, pounds. Hey, we should use this song in the movie.
What movie? Well, it's a movie me and Lil did. We're playing cops.
Renegade cops, loose cannons.
Always getting me into trouble.
For the last time, I'ma tell you, I don't play by the rules. I don't do what the man tells me.
Arena destroyed. I'm getting calls from the mayor, irate citizens. Even my wife is upset. What part of the word undercover do you clowns not understand?
But Sarge, it was a setup. As soon as the game ended, everything went crazy.
It was Penny's fault. I was just discussing a community watch program with some elderly
Well, I'm taking you both off the case, effective immediately. Get your feet off the desk.
Would you like a donut?
How come I'm not in the movie, man? Well, the movie's called Double Action, and if you would have been in it, it would have been Triple Action, so, they couldn't change the name of the movie, so that's how that went down. Just a penny thing, right? Yeah, I understand.
Why don't you just be quiet?
We're in St. Louis. No score after 2 innings here at Busch Stadium. Coming up at 7 o'clock tonight on ESPN2, the weekend kickoff show with Chris Fowler, Lee Corso, and Kirk Herbstreit. And then at 7:30 on ESPN, it's the 9th-ranked Volunteers of Tennessee, led by Peyton Manning, and Ole Miss. That's at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, right here on ESPN. Inning number 3, you see part of this huge crowd. They're telling us it should be an all-time record crowd at Busch Stadium today. First ball swinging Gomez. There's Ozzie covering a lot of ground, and he got him.
At the beginning of the season, they were worried about Ozzie being able to make a throw like that from deep in the hole. He's had arm problems. He came back, and his arm seems to be strong enough to make the play. Now watch this. This is deep in the hole. Straightens up. And watch the extension. That's what he does best. He extends across the diamond. Good throw. And he retires Gomez.
Still a pleasure to watch him get it done. 13 consecutive Gold Glove awards. And there's ball 1. And still, Ozzie Smith getting it done. I mean, who gets it done better than Ozzie?
I think that's the problem that he faces. Ozzie Smith that's playing today is being compared to the Ozzie Smith that played 10 years ago. And that's a little bit unfair because the Ozzie Smith that played 10 years ago was head and shoulders above everyone else. And now he's maybe just a little better than an average shortstop. But what's wrong with that? I mean, he's still a pretty good shortstop in the major leagues.
2-1 now to Jody Reed. Tony La Russa, of course, came in here and inherited a real problem.
Yeah.
I mean, he had Royce Clayton and looked at Royce as the younger shortstop of the future, and yet there was still Ozzie Smith.
Right.
A very proud man with a great career, and he felt like he had a lot to offer yet.
And both were in very tough situations as far as I'm concerned.
Jody Reed lifts a high pop-up. Ozzie will let the other old guy, Willie McGee, handle. The 37-year-old makes the catch in front of the 41-year-old Ozzie Smith.
Well, I think they were both in a tough situation simply because, La Russa had to come here and try to turn this team around and win. He couldn't be concerned with how Ozzie Smith felt or anyone else for that matter. And that's La Russa's way of playing, of managing the team. And Ozzie felt like, he'd been here a long time. Then the team owed him a chance to lose the job rather than giving it to someone else. So, again, I can understand both of their positions, and it was just difficult for both of them, to adjust. And I think they both made good adjustments. Obviously, there was some turmoil at the beginning, but let's face it, La Russa made a great statement, I thought, the other day.
There's a high foul out of play.
And, John, that statement was, he said, both Royce Clayton and Ozzie Smith have played good enough that they both deserve to play more than they did, but there were only 162 games. And I think that's quite a compliment to both of them. And he said both of those players, meaning Royce Clayton and Ozzie Smith, handled it better than people realize, because either one of them could have said, hey, I'm hitting 300 or 290, I should be playing. He said, but they handle it well, and that's why they're in the divisional playoffs. So it was turmoil at the beginning, but they worked it out, and I'm glad to see that, and they've been rewarded for it.
Scott Sanders, pretty good hitter for a pitcher. 2 down, nobody on. 1-2 the count. He got a piece of the Bennis slider there to stay alive. 1 ball and 2 strike. Yeah, the whole early part of this season was a learning process for the Cardinal players with their new, very intense manager, Royce Clayton, the new man coming in to replace Ozzie Smith, an institution here. And then the club got off to a bad start on top of all of that. Now, having won the Central Division title, having all come together and everything working out beautifully, it seems like ancient history at this point.
You're right, and next year Royce Clayton will be the everyday shortstop here for the Cardinals.
2-2 the count to Sanders. And again, he gets a piece of it. The irony of all of that is, Joe, it worked out beautifully. Clayton will be the everyday shortstop next year, but it worked out so beautifully for Ozzie that he's been giving hints that, hey, maybe he's a little hasty in talking about retiring here. Maybe he has a little more to offer.
You're right. I mean, he's thinking maybe, and he says he does not. He said he didn't want to be the everyday shortstop here either. He just wanted to be able to play, play often.
That's Mabry in front of Alicea. Bennis with a putout. Andy Bennis has retired 9 in a row. Alicea, then Bennis, and Ozzie Smith coming up. No score in St. Louis, mid-third.
What you think?
Oh no, ice.
What the Bravada thinks.
Decrease coefficient of friction, divert torque to adjust wheel velocities.
With its exclusive Smart Track system, the Bravada automatically reacts to changing road conditions. So with no buttons to push or levers to pull, you can let it do the thinking.
Oh no, marbles.
Yesterday, it was just an idea, a notion, a whim. A few hours ago, it was a yearning, a dream. And then, as if by magic, overnight it all came to be. Wishes crossed the sea, ideas took flight, and yearnings and cravings in all 4 corners of the earth were satisfied. It wasn't always this way, but with FedEx, it's the way the world works.
Goodyear retailers are celebrating low prices. Now save up to 25% off the regular price on some of Goodyear's most popular tires. So call your nearest retailer at 1-800-GOODYEAR and join the saving celebration.
Freshness Hotline, what's the problem?
Man, my party is lame. I think I got some skunky beer.
Sir, relax. When was your beer born?
Born? What are you talking about?
It doesn't have a born-on date?
A what?
Do you have any Budweiser?
No, man, you gotta help me.
Okay, remain calm, sir. We're on our way.
New Born on Dating from Budweiser, because fresh beer tastes better.
No! Sir, put down the skunky beer and slowly back away.
I can't believe I'm losing my hair back here.
Like father, like son.
Yeah, right.
Look, if you want to regrow some hair, check this out.
Rogaine? Don't you need a prescription?
Not anymore.
How's it work? Rogaine goes to the root of your hair, and for some people, gets it to grow.
What have you got to lose?
Nothing, I guess, except more hair.
That's It's been easy to use.
And it's starting to work.
See, there's room for growth in every relationship.
Rogaine, medically proven to regrow hair.
A brilliant, crisp, clear day in St. Louis. No score. We head to the last of the third inning here at Busch Stadium before a huge crowd. I'm John Miller, along with Joe Morgan, as we see the shadows of October thrust onto the field here at St. Louis.
And John, with those shadows, it's getting a little crispier than I want it to be here.
Summer in the sun, winter in the shade. Yeah. Here's Luis Alicea coming up, still in the bright sunshine as he looks out at the pitcher. Sanders also in the sunlight, but of course later on the shadows may play more of a role in terms of the hitters facing these pitchers. Sanders misses ball one to Alicea.
I guess I should say getting a little crisper than I want it to be. You know, it's a little cooler here up here. The shadows.
A little crisper, that's fine. Yeah, okay. I like that one.
Yeah, but I said crispier the first time. I was thinking about that chicken, you know, crispier. That's all right.
It's a little crispier than
yeah.
than we like our chicken up here in the booth in October, I'll tell you that. 2-0 the count to Alicea. Andy Bennis on deck. Ozzie Smith due up third here against Scott Sanders. Here's Andy. Caminetti shallow at third base. Alicea, a veteran of postseason play. Just last year he was in the postseason with the Boston Red Sox. He was their regular second baseman last year. And then he went 6 for 10 against the Cleveland Indians in the division series, although the Red Sox ended up being swept. And then after they acquired Cordero, they ended up releasing him this spring. And back to St. Louis he came. Glad to be here at 258 for the Cardinals in the regular season. A switch hitter. And he gets a walk. So a leadoff walk here for Alicea. Alicea had 11 steals during the year, but we'll be expecting a little bunt action right here from Andy Bennis.
John, we were talking about how much movement Sanders has in his motion. And watch his body. He throws, he falls all off toward first base. I mean, that's very difficult to keep straight down the line when you do that. If you're a little ahead of yourself, you're going to throw the ball out of the strike zone. It's kind of like a hitter. The more movement you have as a hitter, the tougher it is to pick up the ball. All right, the more movement you have from the pitching standpoint, the tougher it is to throw the ball in the same place all the time. Tougher to throw strikes.
Ken Caminetti about 30 feet down the line from third. I think Bennis is going to bunt, Joe. That's just my prediction.
Caminetti better hope so. I did the game last Sunday in L.A., and he came running in, and Ismael Valdez almost drilled him. He pulled one foul down the line on him.
0-1 to Andy Bennis. Caminetti again very shallow down the line from third. You see him pulled way in. I think he's going to bunt again. You know what gives that away, Joe, is the fact that he's squared around,
a little
showing bunt.
A little too soon.
About an hour before the pitch being thrown. 0-2 the count to Bennis. Tommy Reynolds, the third base coach, flashing some signs. He's still going to bunt here on 0-2?
Well, in this situation, I would say yes. I'll tell you why in a second. We'll see. He hasn't shown that.
Caminetti comes in, and that's a ball.
And I'll tell you why I believe he was going to bunt. In my conversation with La Russa today, you know, Tony said that he's going to play this game like it's the 5th game of the series because it's that important to the Cardinals if they can go to San Diego up 2 games. Because if you split here, obviously going to San Diego would have things in their favor. So he has decided that, rightfully so, that he's going to play this game. He's got to win this ball game.
And it is 2-2. And the Orioles felt that way yesterday. Davey Johnson, they did not want to have to go to Cleveland needing to win 2 out of 3.
Right. And so that's why I felt like he was going to bunt there with 2 strikes. Now that they've gotten deep into the count, you know, you may see him put a hit and run on. Alicea runs pretty well. But when you take Langford and Clayton out of this lineup for the Cardinals, you're taking a lot of speed out. Langford has 35 stolen bases, and Clayton has 33.
Ozzie Smith on deck. Nobody out of the inning. Alicea, who walked, is at first base. Caminetti still very shallow at third. And the bunt is finally put down. Sanders to Jody Reed covering for the putout, and Bennis gets the job done. Alisea moves up.
Well, you have to give Bennis a lot of credit on that, simply because with 2 strikes, he stayed there and made sure that he got the bunt down. And Sanders had only 1 play, and that's the first base. I do believe that Sanders, once he got ahead in the count, he should have finished him off by throwing a strike. Once he got deep into the count, then he had to just ease up a little bit and make sure he threw a strike.
Now Ozzie to try and be the RBI man. Ozzie walked his first time. Ball 1. And Sanders, I mean, there's showing guys respect, Joe. I mean, you respect Ozzie Smith for what he's done, and then there's showing respect to guys, right?
Yeah.
He's pitched Ozzie as if Ozzie's the man who hit 50 home runs. He had not thrown a strike to him yet. That probably was not part of their strategy. They were not saying before the game, hey, we've got to pitch around Ozzie Smith.
It shouldn't have been.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been, but apparently, from what we've seen, it is. 1 ball, 1 strike to Ozzie now.
If you're going to pay a compliment to Ozzie Smith, I think it comes from the offensive side. He was always a good glove man, but he worked very, very hard to make himself into a hitter, because you could knock the bat out of his hand when he first came here from San Diego.
Just outside. 2-1 to Ozzie.
And Ozzie made himself into a guy that hit over 300 a couple of times, but basically he started hitting around 270 to 280. So he really made himself into a good offensive player, but that was something he really had to work on.
Ozzie hit 282 this year and hit 287 as a left-handed hitter, only 240 right-handed. And he just got a piece of that one, fouling it back. A slider from Sanders. 2-2 the count with Alisea at second. No score in the game. Last of the 3rd inning. And there's Royce Clayton, the heir apparent, and already, for that matter, the regular shortstop for the Cardinals. Hit 277 during the year.
But he also pays Ozzie a high compliments as well. He says he's learned a lot just watching Ozzie Smith play. On the days that he's set, he hasn't dropped his head, been upset. He sit there and he watched Ozzie Smith play, and he's learned a lot about playing shortstop in the major leagues.
Alisea getting his lead from second. And the count now full to Ozzie Smith. 3-2. Willie McGee is on deck.
And John, to take that Ozzie Smith offensive thing a step farther, Ozzie Smith has 2,460 hits. That is a lot of hits, you know, for a shortstop. It's a lot of hits for anyone, but I mean, you wouldn't think of Ozzie Smith as a hitter in close to 2,500 hits.
He's prouder of that, I think, than all of the great prowess that he has displayed as a defensive shortstop. The fact that it used to be that they said he couldn't hit, and he couldn't.
He couldn't hit. They used to knock it out of his hand, I'm telling you.
You get 24.
The scouting report was just throw it hard.
You get 2,460 hits, you could hit.
Yeah.
And it was just a lot of hard work. 3-2 to Ozzie Smith.
And I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, Royce Clayton doesn't end his career with over 2,000. I'm not going to say 2,500 simply because for a shortstop to play that long, you know, Ozzie has played a long time, and I'm not sure Clayton will play as long as Ozzie Smith will. But Clayton is a fine player, and we've talked about the fact that he can steal a lot of bases. He's a good defensive shortstop and a pretty good hitter.
Well, the man we saw yesterday, the great Baltimore shortstop, Cal Ripken. Of course, Davey Johnson did a lot of talking this year about Cal Ripken's days as a shortstop being numbered. And Ozzie walks again. He has walked twice.
And he threw him a 3-2 breaking ball. He threw him a 2-2 breaking. I guess he just feels like he's not going to let Ozzie Smith do anything to excite this crowd today. But again, it's a breaking ball on 3-2. And it's not even close. So Ozzie, for the second time in this ball game, draws a base on ball.
There's Bruce Bochy. Brought this Padre ball club to a division title. I don't think many people predicted that they'd win this division. People knew that they had a pretty good ball club. 2 men on, 1 man out. Up the middle, and Willie McGee gets the first hit of the game. Finley's throw home. 1-0 St. Louis.
Well, Willie McGee is a hitter. And by that, I mean he goes up there aggressive, every at-bat, swinging the bat. He's not going to walk very often. And he jumps on the first high fastball, and he lines it into center field for a base hit, which puts the Cardinals ahead.
And Dan Worthen out to the mound to talk to his young pitcher.
Here's the pitch. It's up, and Willie just rips it into center field. It may have been a slider, but it was up. Finley charged it well, but Alicea runs well, got a good jump because he was 2 outs. There were 2 outs, and they let the ball go all the way through, and Alicea slides home with the first run. I think the tough thing here is, if you are the Padres, is to fall behind, similar to what Cleveland did yesterday. Very difficult to fall behind on the road when you're already down 1-0.
This turns up the heat.
Yeah.
We saw that with Cleveland yesterday. All of a sudden you saw guys sort of get out of their game, trying a little too hard to hit the big home run. That apparently was what Hargrove had the meeting with them about in the 6th inning yesterday.
And you got to give Hargrove a lot of credit, because I mean I was impressed with what he did yesterday and the way he handled the situation.
Here's Ron Gant, and now the Cardinals have the big guns up there with a chance for a big inning. And the Padre bullpen is getting busy. Bullpen activity for San Diego.
That was a balk.
I mean, he kicked toward the plate.
Yeah, that was a balk. You have to turn toward where the runner is. You can't just kick your leg straight up in the air and come down.
Slider taken. And ball and no strikes. Well, we've got plenty of umpires here. 6 umpires.
Put 6 of them. Well, we got 8, me and you.
Yeah.
And only the 2 of us saw it. Oh,
yeah,
Peter Pasquarelli saw it too, so we got 9.
If they ask us, we'll tell them. Just trying to help, guys. 1 ball and no strike. There's Sean Bergman in the Padres bullpen cave. Visitors bullpen is in a cave now here in the new Busch Stadium, and I like the looks here of the new ballpark. Again, pops it up. Again, a little over-anxious himself on that one. The infield fly is called, and Jody Reed takes it. And that is out number 2. I mean, he had a 2-strike swing there, Joe.
Yeah.
And he had no strikes on him.
Well, I think he was fooled on that pitch. There's a little slider, and he was looking for a slider, but he wasn't looking for it in this spot. See, I think he was looking for the slider away, and that one's more middle of the plate in, and I think that's what confused him. He's looking for the slider, else he wouldn't have swung, but see, it stays on the inside. It doesn't break as much as he thought, and you can see he's very upset. And again, we talked about the shadows. Now the shadows are between the pitching mound and home plate, so it could cause the hitter a problem. Now, I don't think it's much yet, because the shadows are not far enough out that they would bother the hitter.
Brian Jordan, and it's a strike. Big sequence here. That was a huge out for Sanders to get, having already allowed a run. And now here's the Cardinals' best RBI man, and that's why. He didn't do it hitting 40 homers like Caminetti. He did it getting the base hits in spots like this better than anybody else. 2 on, 2 out, and the slider. He chased it. He struck out his first time, and Sanders hasn't chased that pitch again. It's 0-2.
Well, this has always been a weakness for Brian Jordan, is chasing the breaking ball out of the strike zone. He can handle the breaking ball in the strike zone, but when he starts to chase it is when he really gets in trouble.
Ozzie Smith at second, Willie McGee at first. And a nice save there behind the plate by Flaherty. And it is 1-2. Ozzie Smith at second and Willie McGee at first. I feel like we should be saying Tommy Hers at the plate now.
Yeah, you're right. John, this was one of the greatest scenes I ever saw. Was just like this. Willie McGee was at first, Ozzie Smith was at second, and David Green. Remember David Green was at the bat. He had a line drive in the gap in right center field. And I mean, they looked like the 440 relay team. I mean, they were flying. This was when they were younger now, Ozzie and Willie McGee. That was one of the greatest sights I've ever seen on a baseball field. In
fact, you and I were younger then, too.
Yeah, we were.
As I recall.
I was still playing, John.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was much
real
younger.
1 ball and 2 strikes, the count to Brian Jordan. Gary Gaetti would be next. Scott Sanders trying to put an end to this right now in this crucial game for the Padres. 1 run is already in. However, when he's been throwing strikes so far today, and Flaherty's going to go out and chat with him here. And why not? I mean, this is crucial. This could be the game for them right now. They've got to stay close.
And the game could mean the series, as we've often said today. And I think it's important that they make the right pitch at the right time. But the only problem you have is the longer you stand out there, the tighter your defense becomes. Guys get a little tight out there waiting in these types of situations. You need to throw strikes, keep them on their toes, and they'll make plays for you.
1-2 to Brian Jordan. Way outside. And that truly was an outstanding save there by Flaherty.
Yes, it was. I guess the question is, they didn't have to have a conference to throw that pitch, did he?
Yeah, that's the result of that conference.
Yeah, there's a pitch about 2 feet outside and in the dirt. And you're right, that was a great stop there by Flaherty.
Okay, now you have the conference, right?
Yeah.
You throw it 3 feet outside. Now go talk to him.
And remember, Flaherty's coming off of a bad ankle, and that was just a great stop.
He looked pretty healthy on that one. 2-2 to Jordan. Smith and McGee ready to go on anything. Pretty good pitch there, and Jordan fought it off. 2-2 the count.
Well, the closer you get it to the strike zone, the better he's able to handle it. And I think what's going to happen if you hang one, I mean, he'll hurt you. So if you're going to throw him another breaking ball in this situation, you have to start it in the strike zone and let it move out.
Brian Jordan in the dark shadows of the late afternoon in St. Louis. Flaherty drops the sign. Ozzie Smith leads from second. Willie McGee from first. Scott Sanders with another huge pitch to make here in the 3rd inning. 1 run already in. And that will be handled by the slick fielding Joyner. And he just does get Jordan. Sanders never got over there. So the Cardinals get just the 1. The Padres are still breathing. Ricky Henderson, Tony Gwynn, and Steve Finley coming up. We'll be back.
If elected president, I'll stimulate small business, the backbone of our country.
What does he know about a backbone or small business? Office Max, the office product superstore, knows. With over 7,000 office products, computers, electronics, software. Hey, stop that. All under one roof, so it's easy. There's great stuff like Bush computer desks and Keith Clark desk calendars at guaranteed low prices. Free delivery, too. Now that helps the economy, our country, and the little guy. Office Max, we go to the max for you.
So I pull into this gas station.
Oh. Classic oversqueeze. Watch this. Release the hounds. Perfect pump.
2037.
Even at the gas station, you can do more with the American Express card.
There's nothing like being ranked #1. It takes a whole lot to get there. Man, you've got to eat it, drink it, and breathe it. Well, you know it always comes back to fundamentals. Fundamentals, fundamentals, fundamentals. You know what I say? You got to put a fire under them. But once you get a taste of it, man, you don't want anything else. We're the only game in town. You gotta want it. You really gotta want it.
Gary Miller with you in our ESPN Major League Baseball studios. An ump date for you. We've had a ruling now. The baseball umpires say they will strike on Friday. They'll walk out tonight after the Braves-Dodgers game and refuse to work Friday's playoff games. There is a meeting scheduled for Friday in U.S. District Court in Philadelphia where representatives for both the umpires and baseball's owners will be there. The American and National Leagues are seeking to get a court injunction preventing this walkout, which would violate their agreement with Major League Baseball. We'll have full details as they become available during the game in St. Louis, and of course, a complete wrap-up from Philadelphia on SportsCenter after the game. But right now, back to Bush for the Padres and Cards with John and Joe.
All right, Gary. Glad that they've been able to have a quick resolution to all of the problems there. Here's Andy Bettis to Ricky Henderson, and it is ball 1. Ricky struck out looking his first time. Andy Bennis has retired every batter that he has faced, and now he has a 1-0 lead with which to work. That is a called strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Henderson with the foul ball came up, hit him there in the knee. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Ricky. Well, let's see. The umpire's going to go on strike after the game tonight.
Yeah.
There's still no basic agreement, right, between the owners and the players.
Right. Well,
how about opening day next year?
Yeah.
Is that on yet? You know, Ricky not getting looked at by the Padres trainer.
Well, he pointed to the inside of his left knee. Let's see where this ball hits. Yep, hits him on the inside of his left knee. And, you know, he's going to try to walk it off, but that looked like it hit him pretty hard right there on the bone part of the inside of the knee. Of the kneecap, so he's trying to walk it off.
More baseball tonight. The Braves and Dodgers, and a huge ball game for the Dodgers. Another must-win ball game. It'll be at Dodger Stadium, and Fox will have the telecast at 8 Eastern. And of course, you'll have the full day's highlights in baseball and all of the latest strike news in baseball. Baseball tonight at midnight. Ricky Henderson is down on strikes. 5th strikeout for Bennis. Greg Maddux and Ismael Valdez, by the way, tonight in that Braves-Dodgers ball game. Tomorrow, baseball tonight at 3:30, and then the Orioles and the Indians at the Jake. Mike Messina versus Jack McDowell. That's a 4 o'clock Eastern start. The Orioles 2-0 in that series. The venue, of course, changes as of tomorrow. Then the Yankees and Rangers, Game 3. That will be seen on NBC tomorrow night. And I've offered to loan Joe out to NBC for that ball game.
Without the umpire, right?
Now, you and Bob Costas may have to umpire that ball game. Just take a mic down on the field with you. 0-1 the count to Tony Gwynn. And Tony takes a changeup high and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jimmy Key and Darren Oliver, a couple of lefties, will go in that ball game. The Yankees faced that huge ball game last night, a must-win situation for them, and they came from behind to defeat the Texas Rangers. Joe Torre, he used everybody. I kept waiting for him to bring in Sparky Lyle. I mean, he used everybody but Sparky in that ball game last night. A lot of ball games on Saturday. 1 o'clock. The Orioles and the Indians, if necessary, at 1 o'clock on ESPN2. The Yankees and the Rangers, and that's a definite 1 o'clock on ESPN. The Dodgers and Braves game 3, 4 o'clock on Fox. And then the Cardinals and the Padres in San Diego at 7:30 on NBC. Right center field. And Brian Jordan catches up to it. That's one thing, this Cardinal outfield, I mean, they've got tremendous speed and range out there. And Jordan may be the best of them.
Yeah, and you get Langford out there in the middle, and it's very difficult to find a gap in this outfield. Gant runs well. Langford, the normal center fielder, runs exceptionally well, and Jordan is also. And Tony Gwynn, one of the better hitters in baseball. You know he's going to hit it hard several times during the day. This one, he just gets it a little too high for his own good, because Jordan, watch, he almost overruns it. I mean, he's that fast.
Now, Steve Finley, who's also an outstanding outfielder, one of the best.
John, I was teasing Brian Jordan before the ball game. I said, well, looks like you've proven that you're a baseball player, not a football player, and Dion is a football player, not a baseball player, and he just kind of laughed. Because there was a time when a lot of people thought Dion was the better baseball player of the two. And obviously we don't know for sure, because Dion didn't ever give it a full chance. He didn't play as much as Jordan did. But Jordan decided he wanted to be a baseball player, and he gave up football totally, and now he's being rewarded for it.
Well, just a couple of years ago, he had such a terrible start that they sent him down to the minor leagues, and he was wondering himself if maybe he'd made a mistake. But he really developed this year in particular. There's a fastball, strike 3 call. Andy Bennis has been perfect. He's got a 1-0 lead and 6 strikeouts in 4 innings. 1-0 Cardinals after 3 1/2.
Dad, what's that?
Not again.
Dad, it's a bear.
I'll check. Everything's fine. Ooh.
Dad.
Would a nightlight help, son?
Thanks, Dad.
Every day, car batteries are put to the test. And every day, America's most trusted lives up to its name. Die-hard, tried and true.
Ha-ha, Dad, very funny.
You, and you have the right to play sports until the cows come home.
You have the right to assemble.
You have the right to be equipped.
You have the right to free speech.
But anything you say can be held against you.
That's life.
Liberty.
And the pursuit of the goal.
But you don't have the right to remain thirsty.
Not when there's Gatorade.
Because every athlete has the right to be quenched.
These are your rights.
Now get out there and exercise them.
Life is a sport.
Drink it up.
I got a lot accomplished this week.
Thanks to Jimmy's versatility.
Let's see. Hauled the love seat in for reupholstering on Monday.
Thanks to Jimmy's cargo space.
Took the kids to soccer practice Wednesday.
With its spacious interior and luxury ride.
Bought groceries.
You can do a lot in a Jimmy.
And now, a weekend getaway.
Jimmy by GMC. It puts you comfortably in command.
It has a lubricating comfort strip. And for a lot of guys, that's not much comfort. Introducing the Norelco Reflex Action Razor. A great shave with less irritation than blades.
Remember the 92 debates?
I think Mr. Perot was right.
I think Mr. Perot put his finger on something there.
I think Mr. Perot has confronted this deficit issue.
76% of Americans want Ross Perot in the presidential debates. So why are the Republicans and Democrats trying to keep Ross out? Ross will balance the budget, reform campaign finance laws, and end the special interests control of Washington. He'll end the political game that puts our government up for sale to the highest bidder. Vote for a change. Vote for Perot.
Game 2 of the National League Division Series between the Padres and Cardinals. The Cardinals leading 1-0 and leading the game 1-0. As Gary Gaetti leads it off for St. Louis against Scott Sanders, and it's ball one inside. Gaetti flied out to left center his first time. Mabry and Pagliazzi will follow here in the fourth inning. Only one run in the game and only one hit in the game. Willie McGee's single to center, the only hit, and that also drove in the run. Center field. Steve Finley out in the sunshine. Back near the warning track. That seems to be carrying well out there.
Ball's carrying very well, John, but Sanders has done a good job with Gaetti by keeping the ball away both times. And Gaetti has hit the ball in the air, but it's too far away for him to get enough wood on it to drive the ball out of the ballpark. As long as he stays away from him, he's okay. But if he moves that ball about 6 inches more over the middle of the plate, Gaetti will hurt him.
Now here's John Mabry, who struck out his first time. There's some of the flags on the rooftop here. There's no evidence of a real strong wind that might give a ball an extra push. Doesn't mean that there isn't something inside the ballpark that's swirling around, blowing out in that direction. But whatever it is, that ball seemed to carry awfully well.
Yes.
For the point of contact for Gaetti. Mabry struck out in the second inning. Sanders has 3 strikeouts, but also 3 walks, and one of those walks eventually became a run. Mabry, 297 average for the year. He really blossomed this year. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike. He led the Cardinals in base hits. But again, his overall numbers not impressive compared to some of the numbers you see around with these postseason ball clubs. It seems like the Cardinals didn't do any one thing particularly well. They didn't have the big star with the big, like a Ken Caminetti with the 130 RBIs, or a John Smoltz with 24 wins, or a Mark Wohlers with all of those saves, but the whole combination was pretty effective. They won a division title. Wally Joyner. And that's out number 2.
And when I talked to Tony today, he was very proud of that fact that this was a team and everybody put forth the right effort to make it a team. And he emphasized the Royce Clayton, Ozzie Smith situation, because he said that could have really have torn this team apart. He said, but they didn't do that. They worked hard together, and everyone contributed. There's Ray Langford. He's out with that rotator cuff problem in his left shoulder. He is available to pinch hit.
Tom Pagnozzi flagged the center his first time, and that's ball one, down and away. 1-0 St. Louis, last of the fourth. And this series will shift to San Diego as of Saturday. We'll move to Jack Murphy Stadium. The last time the Padres were in postseason play, I mean, Jack Murphy Stadium was one of the loudest ballparks anybody had ever seen.
You're right. It was great, too. It was great atmosphere there.
Very exciting. And remember that year, the Padres faced the Cubs in the National League Championship Series. Lost 2 in a row at Wrigley Field. Given up for dead, went back to the Murph and won 3 straight and went to the World Series. 1-2 now to Pagnozzi. Tony Gwynn was there.
But I think that Steve Garvey hit the home run to help put him there when winning that ball game for them in extra innings.
1 ball and 2 strikes, the count.
I see what I forgot to do. I forgot to ask Tony Gwynn why he wears those shades on top of his hat.
It's the look.
Oh, I forgot to ask him. But that surprised me. Tony's not into the look. He's into the results normally. I mean, look at this. The glasses on top. You know, usually you can't flip those down. Yeah, see, those are the sunglasses you wear to flip down in case the sun gets in your eyes.
He's got them out there if he needs them.
Oh, okay.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case a brilliant patch of sunlight explodes out in the right field area.
Well, there's Finley, too. I mean.
And he's in the sunshine.
Yeah. Maybe.
And Ricky.
Well, Ricky says, hey, I'm wearing mine. I'm cool.
He's really in the sun field, though.
Yeah, but Ricky's cool.
Yeah. He's got the shades down. And that is the 4th strikeout for Sanders. 3 up and 3 down. We're heading to the 5th inning now. Ken Caminetti coming up. 1-0 Cards.
Southwest Airlines employees demonstrating once again that you can have fun and still do a great job.
It's the end of the model year, and from the winners of the 96 North American Car of the Year award comes the clearance of the year, the National Chrysler Clearance. Choose from all these 96 award-winning Chryslers. Get $1,000 cash back on the Sporty Cirrus, or APR as low as 1.9% on Chrysler Concorde. Or $3,000 cash back on the luxurious Chrysler LHS. For a limited time only on 96 models during the National Chrysler Clearance. Only at your Chrysler dealer.
Ever help a stranded motorist?
No.
Give blood?
No.
Volunteer work?
Oh, well, no. But I did make a donation to Ronald McDonald House Charities.
Oh, the phone thing.
Donate $20 to Ronald McDonald House Charities, and Southwestern Bell will give you free activation, use of a free Nokia cellular phone, plus up to 75 extra minutes a month.
I like puppies.
Southwestern Bell. Yes, it's that simple.
Brady Anderson and the Orioles have pushed the Tribe to the brink of elimination, but Albert Bell and the Indians are headed back to the Jake and aren't going down without a fight. The Orioles-Indians tomorrow at 4, the Division Series on ESPN.
1-0 Cardinals. Andy Bennis is on top of his game. He has 6 strikeouts. He started right off in the first inning. He got Ricky Henderson looking. He got Steve Finley, and he follows that up in the second inning. Gets Ken Caminetti and Wally Joyner. That's 4. And then in the 4th inning, he gets Ricky again, and he also gets Steve Finley.
4 swinging, 2 looking. And here is Ken Caminetti to try it again now in the 5th inning. 1-0, the Cardinals ahead. Caminetti, it's the 5th inning of the second game of this series. He's the leading run producer, the big man in the lineup for the Padres, and he has not yet hit a fair ball in this series.
And John, what's really tough is when you go 0 for 4, you struggle in the first game, and then you do not get a hit right away in the second. You just really start to struggle, and you can see, again, he's swinging harder than I've seen him swing. You know, it looks like he's just trying to make up for all the other at-bats that he's had in this series. Now, watch, I mean, this is a pretty big swing for Ken. He had, look at that, I mean, he had shortened his swing a lot, and that was one of the reasons he was successful.
Here's a high drive into deep right center field. Jordan is all the way back. It's tied up. Ken Caminiti has given the Padres the jolt they needed. It is 1-1. He is the first man to even reach base against Bennis today. That's what they got from Caminiti all year, and that's what they needed in this series.
And you said it gives the Padres a jolt. It gives him a jolt, too, because the longer you go without a base hit, the more pressure builds up on you. And he hits a high pitch here, which surprised me. This is a high fastball. But you can see here it's a much shorter swing than the one we showed you before. In fact, you can see he didn't even completely turn around on this one. The one before, he was spinning out on it. This one, he was a lot quicker and a lot shorter.
You know, he commented after the ball game Tuesday, Joe, that he did not make the adjustments that he should have made for the way they were pitching him. And maybe he's made an adjustment here.
Well, he did. I mean, when he swung at the pitch before, he looked like he stood in the batter's box. He lowered his head. Maybe he just had a little talk with himself. Now he's talking to Merv Retman, the hitting instructor, and he's talking about, you know, what he did the first pitch and what he did the second, and shows him how to get back in the groove. But that's a big, big blow because Andy Bennis was just cruising along. And you see Merv Retman talking to him. And there's Greg Vaughn congratulating.
Yeah, he knows about big flies.
Yeah.
Vaughn hit 41 of them all told this year, including his stay in Milwaukee before coming to San Diego. And, of course, Vaughn not in the ball game today. Caminiti hit 40 for the Padres.
Greg's got a double shade package on there, John.
So it's a question of either the shade here at Busch Stadium or the shades and how to wear them. Wally Joyner struck out his first time, 3-2 the count.
And I mentioned earlier that it was a tough decision for Bruce Bochy because Vaughn hit the home run that helped beat Bennis in their last regular season meeting.
And the high hard one. And Joyner could not lay off. He has struck out twice, which is very unusual. I mean, Wally's a guy who usually puts the ball in play.
Well, I think there's no doubt in my mind now that the shadows are bothering the hitters. The background is in the bright sun, and the rest, the pitcher and the hitter is in the shade here, and that does affect you when you have that type of a situation where it's bright to dark. And they were thrown Caminiti's ball back on the field, so the center fielder, Willie McGee, went and picked it up. And he gave it to second base umpire Frank Pulley, who put it in his pocket and will probably take it home with him. It was a souvenir.
John Flaherty, a high foul that goes back out of play. Now, of course, that kind of began at Wrigley Field. An enemy player hit a home run, and they immediately threw it back from the bleachers. They didn't want it. Sort of an expression of contempt for the visiting team. It took a while for that ball to come back.
I don't think I would have thrown that one back. I mean, if I'm in the, when I was in the stands and the Giants, when someone hit a home run, I tried to keep it. I was looking for souvenirs for myself.
Now, this guy, it took 3 minutes for him to be convinced. I'm sure there were some negotiations out there, Joe. And it took 3 minutes for him to decide to throw it back.
Well, he'll regret it in the morning.
But nobody had to go to federal court.
Yeah.
You know, they did. It took a while, but they did negotiate it, and he did throw the ball back, Joe. A happy conclusion, unlike the way it works in baseball. Here's strike 3 to Flaherty. Out number 2. In baseball,
they just
no
can't
negotiation
get it right.
ever ends happily, it seems.
Well, here's the 8th strikeout of the ball game for Bennis, and you can see that Flaherty knew it was strike 3. That ball is supposed to be a slider, one of those backup sliders. Did not break nearly as much as it was supposed to, but he got the job done.
And there's ball 1 to Gomez. Now, Joe, I mean, why can't, say, Bud Selig, the acting commissioner, Gene Budig, the president of the American League, Leonard Coleman, the president of the National League. Why can't they get together with Donald Fear and Richie Phillips and work this out? Sit down like reasonable men and work it out.
I'll comment on that when we get back.
All right. We're coming back if we can negotiate a settlement. 1-1 the score.
The critics were blown away by Twister, now on video. A one-of-a-kind experience.
It's coming!
Like Jaws and Jurassic Park. Twister. Buy it for your video collection at a great low price.
Nelson reunion?
Presenting a new family of cars for 1997 from a new era at Mitsubishi.
Nelson family.
A wide range of rugged sport utility vehicles.
Nelson reunion?
Red-hot sports cars and refined new sedans. Great new cars for everyone, because no two people are...
Nelson reunion?
Exactly alike. The new family of cars from Mitsubishi, built for living.
Coors Light, the silver bullet that shipped cold to tap the clean taste of the Rockies.
Good boy.
The new Coors Light wide mouth can is here with a giant opening for a smoother pour.
You know, life's unfair. Showing you these freshly baked Pizza Hut pizzas when you're this hungry? A choice of 12 toppings, piping hot, 3 amazing crusts, unbearably tempting. It's just not fair. But at least these prices are. $7.99 for a medium pizza with 1 topping or $12.99 for 2. Pick up the phone and call us. What's that? Oh, you've already ordered from somewhere else, have you? Well, it's just not your day, is it, my man?
SportsCenter has been so huge over the years. All kinds of spin-offs have been created. There's been SportsCenter, the Saturday morning cartoon.
Hi, I'm Keith Olbermann.
Hi, I'm Dan Patrick. Welcome to The Big Show.
SportsCenter, the concept album, and who could forget SportsCenter, the movie.
Dan, but I'm not like the other sportscasters. You make me feel in fuego.
Billy!
Busch Stadium in St. Louis. John Miller, Joe Morgan here with you. And it is 1-1. A ball game that each ball club feels it should win. It's a little more important at this point for the Padres, who are going to be truly desperate if they fall behind 2 games to none. But the Cardinals, well, they feel equally as important about it, because if they're going to win this series, they don't want to go to San Diego having to win 2 out of 3 before those big loud crowds at the Murph. Luis Alicea has scored the Cardinals' only run. He led off the 3rd inning with a walk against Scott Sanders. And Sanders, in a way, has been his own worst enemy today.
Yes.
He's been real tough to hit. He's only allowed 1 hit, but he has issued 3 walks.
When I talked to Tony La Russa before the ballgame, John, you're referring to them going to San Diego and having to win 2 out of 3. He said they played poorly there before, but the last time they went out there, they played much better. And so he feels like it's not as desperate a situation as it would have been had they not played as well the last trip to San Diego.
Well, you know, neither team has really hit a whole lot in this series yet. The Cardinals won the first game 3-1. All of their runs scored on the Gary Gaetti home run. It wasn't like they put together any big rallies, you know. Not like they got a bunch of big hits with men in scoring position. They got the 1 swing of the bat, and that was the extent of their offense that day. Of course, the Padres also have struggled. Ricky Henderson drove in their only run with a home run Tuesday, and now Caminetti's own home run, the only run today for San Diego. The pitching has been out in front of the hitting in this series so far. In right center, Steve Finley in the shadows, and Alicea is retired, 1 away.
John, after when Bennis came in, now watch what he says when he comes in. See, I was trying to stay away from him, and he didn't get the ball away from him. He was referring to this pitch to Caminetti. He wanted to go away, but it's in the middle of the plate. But Caminetti, give him credit, he got up on that fastball and still hit it out of the ballpark. But that was interesting. Bennis was trying to stay away from him. He struck him out by staying away from him in his first at bat.
Well, I mean, in Bennis's defense, I mean, wouldn't like it was a real fat looking
No, that's
pitch.
what I say. It was up, and Caminetti got up and got it. So, but he still wanted to stay up and away, he said. But
now I'm wondering, Joe, I mean, And obviously, I mean, you're right on that one. I don't think he would have hit it out if it had been up and away.
Right.
But, I mean, they've gotten him out on that pitch up a lot of times in this series already. This time, Caminetti seemed to be ready for it.
And you have to remember, I mean, a pitcher can't throw the ball 100 out of 140 pitches. You're not going to throw every one where you want. So it's up to the hitters to take advantage when they do make a mistake and not get the ball exactly where they want it to go.
1 ball, 1 strike to Bennis. Got a sacrifice bunt down his first time. Ozzie Smith is on deck. A 1-1 ball game, 5th inning. Sanders throws him a strike. But, Joe, this thing with the umpires. Obviously, a mistake was made.
Right.
The penalty to Roberto Alomar was not stiff enough. Okay. Why can't people just reasonably sit down now and say, all right, you're right, we made a mistake. How can we rectify it to everyone's satisfaction instead of, all right, you're going to do that? Threats are made and then counter threats. You threat to boycott, we're going to take you to court, blah, blah, blah. It's always confrontational in baseball.
I agree, and I don't like to point fingers again at the commissioner's office, but I think one of the reasons that we do have this problem is that we do not have a
base hit for Andy Bennis in a game where there had been only 2 hits total here in the 5th inning. Andy Bennis, a 150 hitter during the year, gets a hit.
Well, good job by Bennis here. This pitch is down, a breaking ball down and away, just reaches out and strokes it in the center field. He doesn't hit it real hard, but Jody Reed was planting towards right field, and the ball goes into center field.
What you were saying about the commissioner's office.
Well, and not to point fingers at Bud Selig because he's an acting commissioner, but baseball needs a full-time commissioner who could set everyone down who's concerned, and they in a room and say, everybody come in here, everybody sit here together, and we make the right decision. We try to rectify the situation so the game itself would not be hurt. I think the problem now is everything becomes everybody's only concerned with their own self-interest now instead of what's good for the game. It's become, what's good for my team, what's good for my office, what's good for your office, what's good for the umpires, rather than what's good for the game. I mean, you're right, this is a double-shaped day. I mean, it's Frank Pulley. He's got a couple of pair on, But I just think that you're right. They need to have a commissioner that says, come in this office. All of us sit down and work this thing out.
Well, in '84, the umpires, of course, sat out at the beginning of the postseason that year. The last time, ironically, that the Padres were in the postseason. And then finally, Peter Ueberroth, the commissioner, basically got everybody together, and they hammered out a deal.
I think that's what needs to happen here.
Down the left field line by Ozzie. Base hit. Ricky Henderson in that sun field did not get a good break on the ball. Bennis to second base. 2 men on with 1 man out, and Willie McGee coming up.
Well, luckily for the Padres, Ricky, they're playing Ozzie down the line, and Ricky was able to get over in front of it and cut it off. But this is Ozzie Smith. He just kind of lays the bat on the ball, hits a little soft line drive to left field. Ricky can't get there in time, and he wisely plays and holds him into a single.
So now McGee was driven in the Cardinals' only run with a single to center back in the 3rd inning.
I said earlier you can't walk Willie McGee, and you definitely can't walk him in this situation. In the past, they would say you try to do anything you can in this situation except throw him a strike.
Well, Sanders definitely threw him a strike the last time, and Willie lined it out into center field for an RBI single. He takes ball 1. Bullpen activity for the Padres now. Dario Veras is warming up out there. They're all right-handers in the Padres bullpen. They do not have a left-hander unless they choose to put Valenzuela out there in the postseason. 2 men on, 1 man out. And Willie chased it. He foul-tipped it into the glove of Flaherty, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike. Same situation, and McGee came up with in the 3rd inning. 2 men on, 1 man out. Ozzie Smith has been on base 3 straight times in this game. There's Bennis at second base. Ozzie Smith at first base. 1 out in the 5th inning of a 1-1 game.
Ooh. Yeah. Willie McGee's getting more patient.
Now, they were telling me, Joe, in the National League, they call those strikes.
Yeah, he's getting more patient in his old age. This looked like a pretty good pitch, especially for Willie to swing at. Willie's usually up there hacking.
2-1 now to McGee. Ron Gant is on deck, getting into that part of the Cardinal lineup where they can do some heavy damage here to Sanders. In the dirt. And it is 3-1 to McGee.
The one thing that Flaherty's trying to do with Sanders, usually young players, when they get in trouble, they just want to throw the ball real hard, and they overthrow it. I think what Flaherty did there was try to go to a breaking ball so that he will not just get in the groove of trying to blow his way out of a jam. He's going to have to pitch his way out of this situation.
Willie McGee, only one time in his career has he ever had as many as 50 walks in a season. He goes up there to hack. 3-1. And he walked. The bases are loaded. And the Cardinals' leading home run hitter, Ron Gant, is coming up.
Well, I was wrong again. He could walk Willie McGee, but Willie McGee still didn't know it was ball 4. He's so used to going up there just hacking.
I think he wanted to decline. So Caminetti comes over from third base along with Flaherty, the catcher, and they chalk it over on the mound with Scott Sanders.
Well, Bruce Bochy's not going to talk it over, John. He's already made the motion to the bullpen for Veras.
So the Cardinals' biggest hitters are coming up. Gant, Jordan, and Gaetti. The bases are loaded with 1 out. In a 1-1 tie. We'll be back.
That wide brown stripe means we're in for a harsh winter.
No, mild winter.
Wait, it's the black stripes, which means blizzards.
While opinions on the weather have differed, folks have always agreed Lennox is the name to trust for heating and cooling.
Let's ask Dave.
And you can still count on Lennox today, even if you can't count on the forecast.
Got a question, boys? Never mind.
Lennox, one less thing to worry about.
This is an 83 Malibu. We got it for a wedding present. It's got a lot of sentimental value. Got a few dings, but it has almost 300,000 miles. This car has been a car, a truck. It's been everything. I've done all my own maintenance on this car. I've been adding Slick 50 regularly, and it continues to run so great. I've used Slick 50 from the moment I got this car as a gift. My son's into karate, and he's very good. We take him to his lessons. We put 400 to 500 miles a week on this car.
There are miles and miles of Slick 50 stories. That's why it's America's favorite engine treatment.
In the middle of the night, many of us search for answers to life's questions. Is there a God? Am I loved? Why was I created? Did the Yankees beat the Twins? ESPN News Network, the 24-hour sports news network from ESPN. Who else?
I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. We're in St. Louis. Big ball game for both ball clubs. Obviously, they're all big here in the postseason, but the Padres especially down 1-0. And here we are, Joe. It could be the big moment of the series. Base loaded and 1 out. The Cardinals trying to break it open here.
Well, the only plus for the Padres right now I can think of is that Veras threw very well in Los Angeles on Sunday. In fact, he helped them win the divisional championship by pitching some shutout innings. So if they expect to get further into the postseason, this is a big at-bat here with Ron Gant and Dario Veras.
The runner at third base, Andy Bennis. Ozzie Smith at second base, Willie McGee at first base. The middle infield double play depth. Veras, the young right-hander, and Gant, the veteran right-handed slugger. 30 home runs during the year. Way outside.
Veras has a good fastball, though, and that was a breaking ball he started him off with. You hate to throw Ron Gant a first pitch fastball because he is a good first pitch fastball hitter. So they tried to throw him a breaking ball, but you're going to have to give him a fastball now.
Barris, 23 years old, most of the year spent in the minor leagues. He made 23 major league appearances and pitched well. That is a strike. 1-1 the count now to Gant, who was fouled out to the left fielder and popped out to second.
And that fastball had real good movement on it. That's why Ron Gant didn't attack it. You saw that ball start toward the middle of the plate and move in. He's got good movement on his fastball. He's got a good breaking ball, but his fastball is his best pitch.
Bases loaded, 1 out, a 1-1 tie. Ooh. 2-1. Strike zone. Shrinking a little bit here.
Yeah, but not only that, though, John, you don't want to be throwing a lot of high breaking balls to Ron Gant. This pitch is up, but you don't want to throw many of those. But you're right. I think it came down behind the plate.
2-1 now to Gant. Big pitch here. Oh, beautiful. 2-2.
Well, I tell you what, he threw a fastball when he was behind the count on after 1-0. He comes back with a changeup here. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to throw a changeup when you're down 2-1 with the bases loaded.
Cardinals leading RBI man. Brian Jordan is on deck. Gant, the leading home run hitter at the plate right now. 4 grand slams in his career, including 2 this year. Dennis, Ozzie, and Willie McGee getting their leads. 2-2 the count. Finley going way back. Over his head. Dennis scores. Ozzie scores. Here comes McGee. And they all score. A double for Gant. 4-1 St. Louis.
This is Ron Gant at his best, though, John. With 2 strikes, he cuts down on his swing. He gets a high fastball. And watch how short this swing is right there. Look, he just kind of guides. It looked like he guides it to center field. But he's so strong that he drove that ball well over the head of Finley. Finley had no chance to make the catch.
Now Jordan. Strike 1 swinging.
But what we saw there was a nice 2-strike short swing from Ron Gant.
Scott Sanders in the dugout, already disgusted. And, of course, a little more disgust right there. All of the runners he left on base have scored on 1 swing of Ron Gant's bat. Now Jordan tries to bring Gant home. 4-1 St. Louis. And that is 0-2 now. Jordan has struck out and grounded out to first.
And I'll tell you what, Willie McGee was coming around those bases pretty quickly. He scored all the way from first base, and he had to wait and make sure the ball got over Finley's head.
I think Willie's lied about his age, Joe.
You may be right.
They say 37, and he looked like he was 27 right there. He turned back the clock here. Nobody covering at second base. 0-2 the count to Brian Jordan. So the big swing of the bat, a 3-run homer by Gaetti Tuesday. That was a game winner. And now a 3-run double by Gant today. It's a foul right toward Gaetti in the on-deck circle. Off to the right, 0-2 the count to Brian Jordan. Jordan was the big man in these situations for the Cardinals this year. Gant trying to get the big lead at second. Sorry, Joe.
Well, no, with Ron Gant there, you saw a veteran hitter doing his thing. Knowing how to hit in that situation, cutting down on his swing.
And down goes Jordan for the second time on strikes. 2 men down. And here comes Gaetti.
It's a breaking ball, and Jordan has been having trouble with the breaking ball off the plate and out of the strike zone the entire evening. I mean, he chases that pitch. Again, he can hit the pitch if it's a strike. His problem is he chases a lot of them out of the strike zone.
Here's Gaetti. Twice he is flied out. Once to Henderson in left center and once to Finley in deeper left center. He takes ball one. But Joe, Scott Sanders, again, I mean, his own worst enemy. Just couldn't get the ball over the plate. He walked 4 men in 4 1/3. And of course, Bruce Bochy. I would to depend on a couple of young guys without much big league experience here, and it's cost him. 1 ball, no strikes to count to Gaetti. He swung. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I would think that looking at Bochy there, and Bochy being a former catcher, that he may have been upset with the choice of pitches that they threw to Gant, meaning throwing him a fastball when they know they do not want to throw Gant a fastball if they don't have to. We saw him starting off with breaking balls, and we've seen them get him out with breaking balls. But, you know, with the bases loaded, sometimes you have to give in.
Gaetti back to Veras. So Veras comes back to get Jordan and Gaetti, but not until after Gant got in. A 3-run double. In game 2, the Cardinals are leading now 4-1 as we go to the 6th.
Let's talk exercise.
Lifting the TV remote. Does that count?
What if it were easy?
Oh, I'd like to know what you call easy.
20 minutes a day, 3 days a week.
And what do we call this marvel of modern exercise?
The Nordic Rider, new from Nordic Track.
The new Nordic Rider is the smooth, easy way to get fit at a great price. Advanced push and pull dual motion lets you exercise more muscle groups, including your arms, legs, back, chest, and stomach. Burn off calories and get a better total body workout with the new Nordic Rider. Yours for only $299.95. The Nordic Rider is from Nordic Track, a recognized leader in home fitness, so your complete satisfaction is guaranteed. Try it for 30 days in your home and see the results. If you're not 100% satisfied, send it back for a refund. Call now for a free information kit about the only rider that's good enough for the Nordic Track name. The Nordic Rider. Call the number on your screen today for a free information kit.
I've had a computer for a couple of years now, but to be honest, I didn't see what all the fuss was about. Then I got America Online. Now I use it all the time. It makes my life easier. Watch. Use email to send messages to family and friends. Point and click your way around the internet with America Online's great new web browser. And there's more. Scan hundreds of magazines, get sports scores, enjoy hobbies, even shop online. So call this toll-free number and get everything you need to make your life easier and more fun.
Tickets. Hey, tickets. 5 minutes, people. Anybody see my teeth?
No, that wasn't good.
Hey, Peter, you're gonna be okay.
I don't know. I don't remember.
That's just stage fright, Peter. Hey, you guys, I gotta run in my tights. You got any tights? A little shiny here.
You see my teeth? No.
Oh my God, it's a packed house. Okay, places, everyone.
Man, they're booing us. They expect it. It's a away game.
ESPN's coverage of the National League Division Series between the Cardinals and the Padres continues from downtown St. Louis. The Cardinals ahead 1-0, and now they lead this important ball game 4-1 as we head to the 6th inning. Remember, the Padres having to come from behind in the series, and now in this ball game against the second leading winner in the National League this year, Andy Bennis. And Ron Gant again comes up big in the postseason. And of course, he's been here many, many times.
You're right.
Every year, it seems almost like a constant. Ron Gant playing in October for somebody. Last year for Cincinnati, and for a number of years with Atlanta in the postseason.
He's a guy that hits 30 home runs a year, drives in 100 runs. So those are the kind of guys that usually do help a team win a championship.
Andy Bennis, in 5 innings, he's given up 1 run, 1 hit. He has 8 strikeouts, and he has not walked anybody. It's been a tale of walks in this one. Walks allowed and walks not allowed. Bennis, as we say, has not given anybody a base free of charge. Sanders walked 4, and 2 of those walks became runs. 1-2 the count to Jody Reed. The pitcher spot due up next, but Chris Gwynn has come out. And that's all for Jody Reed. 9 strikeouts for Andy Bennis. Coming up tonight, Game 2, the Dodgers in a must-win situation with Ismael Valdez going against Greg Maddux. That's 8 o'clock. You'll be able to see that on Fox Baseball tonight with all of the goings-on in baseball at midnight. And then tomorrow, 3:30, Baseball Tonight to get us started. And then the Orioles go for the jugular against Cleveland at the Jake on ESPN. And then the Yankees and Rangers a change of venue as well, moving to Texas for Game 3 of their series. Key and Oliver there, Messina and McDowell in the earlier ball game on ESPN at Jacobs Field, Cleveland. And of course, possibility of a lot of ball games on Saturday. The Orioles and Indians, if necessary, 1 o'clock on ESPN2. The Yankees and Rangers, Game 4, 1 o'clock on ESPN. The Dodgers Braves, Game 3, 4 o'clock on Fox. Chris Gwynn takes the ball. It is 1 ball, 1 strike. And then finally, it will be the Cardinals and the Padres' 3rd game from Jack Murphy Stadium on NBC. Chris Gwynn. Shallow center. Willie McGee. A chance to get that one. Base hit. Chris Gwynn has come up pretty big here lately. In Sunday ball game, the extra innings, he got the winning hit to win the division for the Padres.
Got a pinch bait hit single in the game, first game here. And there's the other part of the Gwynn tandem coming out into the on-deck circle.
Well, Chris is 2 for 2 in this series. He got a pinch hit single against Eckersley in the 9th inning Tuesday.
So he's had 3 straight pinch hit base hits.
The Gwynn family hitters. And Tony Gwynn has talked about how pleased he is to have his brother playing with him finally. And nobody was more excited for Chris getting that big 2-run double Sunday than Tony.
John, we mentioned at the beginning that the Padre lineup was going to have to come through today. You couldn't expect Sanders to match Andy Bennis this entire ball game. So the Padres had to come into this game thinking we're going to have to score some runs today. And so far they've only scored the 1 on the home run. But in order to win today, they couldn't expect Scott Sanders to beat Andy Bennis straight up. So they're going to have to offer some help. So they're really not in any different situation than they were at the beginning of this ballgame. They have to score some runs.
Ozzie, he knocked it down and kept it on the infield, but nothing more. And Gwynn will go to second. Ricky Henderson gets his first hit, and now Tony Gwynn is coming up.
This is what's so funny about Ozzie Smith. Someone will say, well, years ago he would have caught this. You know what I mean? I mean, that's why he's really always compared to the other Ozzie Smith of 10 years ago. But that, for any other shortstop, you guys just say that's a base hit. But someone else said, well, you know, a few years ago, Ozzie would have come up with that. And you know what? They may be right. But, I mean, you're not supposed to come up with that ball.
Well, Ricky Henderson was supposed to get on base today. Tim Worrell up in the Padres bullpen. He'll come on in the last of the 6th inning. You mentioned it at the start of the telecast. He was a key man today. Right. Ricky Henderson, who's over the years gotten on base more frequently than any other leadoff man ever. Now he has gotten on, and here is Tony Gwynn to try and bring him home.
And this is the 2nd time in this series I think Tony Gwynn has been in a key, very key situation for the Padres. He hit a hard ground ball in the 9th inning that Eckersley speared the other day. He's got to be the guy to get the base hit right now that they need.
And he gets it. Yeah. Into left center field. Chris Gwynn comes around third. Ricky's going to challenge McGee, and that will get another run home. Ricky's heading home. Bennis throws. 2 runs scored. Tony Gwynn will hold at second base. And just like that, it is 4-3. All of a sudden, the Cardinals disintegrating out there. Willie McGee, and that's the Ricky Henderson you're talking about, dominating a game. He forced that. He forced the hurried throw. And McGee, of course, I mean, he didn't force him to throw it away, but he forced him to hurry up.
Well, actually, Ricky kind of, he toys with McGee. Now, when Ricky comes around second base on this play, he's really not running full speed. McGee looks up and thinks he has a chance, and then he just lets it go. But Ricky was not running full speed. He was kind of trying to bait Willie McGee into throwing to third base. He did so, and he got the errant throw from Willie, and he ends up scoring a run. So that was caused by Ricky Henderson.
Well, that was a great point. I mean, some have that intuitive ability to know how to make that happen. Willie Mays is one of the best.
I've seen Willie do it a lot of times, but Ricky there knew he could make it to third, and he just kind of slowed. He came around second base. He wasn't running full speed, and Willie saw he had a shot at him, and he took it. All started by Chris Gwynn there and ended here by Tony getting a base hit.
Tony gets a single, 1 run batted in, with the error on McGee allowing Henderson to score and Gwynn to go to second. So the Gwynn family trying to lead the Padres back into this ball game. Here is Finley now. Mabry. And that is out number 2 with Tony Gwynn going down to third base. And now maybe the MVP in the league, Ken Caminetti, is coming up.
Well, here's Ricky. See, Ricky's not running full speed here. He came around second base. He never was running full speed. Now he goes to the plate. Now he's going full speed, and he ends up scoring a run. But he knew he could make it to third base, and he let McGee see him, and he challenged McGee. McGee tried to throw him out.
There's a possible tying run. Tony Gwynn at third base, and Ken Caminetti, who gave the Padres a ray of hope there with a home run in the 5th inning to tie the ball game. And now he's got a chance to tie it again.
Well, he broke up the no-hitter.
Knocked down by Pagnazzi. That slider in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Cardinals bullpen is very busy. Mark Petkaisic, the right-hander, and Tony Fossis, the veteran left-hander, warming up in La Russa's bullpen.
Well, let's see how Andy Bennis pitches Caminetti here. Remember he talked when he went into the dugout about he wanted to stay away from him. Well, the first pitch here was a fastball away. And then he threw a breaking ball. Let's see if he throws all the fastballs away from Caminetti.
And Alexander throws him out. But the Padres are right back in it. 4-3 Cardinals. We go to the last of the 6th inning. John Mabry coming up.
By moving Intrepid's wheels toward the corners, we made it stable and sure-footed. Now we're moving in a slightly different direction. The new Dodge Dakota. It's full of surprises. For Caravan, we invented new ways to stash your stuff. Now we're building more bins and boxes, and a great new place to put them. The new Dodge Dakota. It's full of surprises.
So, Lorraine, why do you want to become a flight attendant?
A lot. Why?
You know, there's an easier way with the Boatman's Home Equity Line. Low rates, you can use the money for whatever you want. Interest is usually tax deductible. Heck, you could fly around the world, maybe even see the pyramids. Yeah, you know, the pyramid thing there. Lorraine, could I have some pretzels?
No pretzels, got peanuts.
Well, you're looking good, but then I've always been a sucker for a gallon uniform.
For every expedition to Mount McKinley, we safely carry about 2 million loads of groceries. For each foray across Death Valley, we drive thousands of kids to their soccer games. And for every traveler who ventures into the Arctic, we take countless families out for a chocolate vanilla twist. Jeep Grand Cherokee, with a lease price that makes it the perfect vehicle for whatever destination lies ahead.
Miss Saigon, October 23rd through December 7th at the Fox Theater.
GS was painstakingly refined to minimize engine noise. Its suspension system was refined to be very quiet. Then, Regal's interior was further insulated, allowing you to hear other things you may not have heard before. Regal by Buick, the fine line between sport and sedan.
It's now the Cardinals 4, the Padres 3. As we go to the last of the 6th inning, the Padres come churning back into the ball game here. Now you're looking from Busch Stadium over to the Kiel Center in St. Louis, where tomorrow night ESPN will be providing coverage of opening night in the NHL. The Colorado Avalanche, defending NHL champions, the Stanley Cup champions, led by goalie Patrick Waugh, and the St. Louis Blues, led by Brett Hull, who is at the game today. That's 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, right here on ESPN.
John, I was supposed to tell you, and I kept forgetting. Patrick Waugh told me to tell you hello. I saw him at a golf tournament, and he says he listens to us.
Mel C, Patrick.
Yeah.
Je vous en prie. He's swinging a foul back by Mabry against the new pitcher, Tim Worrell. Now we're getting to the part of the Padres bullpen where they were very successful. I mean, this bullpen was a great source of strength. They shut down the Dodgers that whole weekend at Dodger Stadium when they swept the Dodgers to win the division. With the likes of Tim Worrell, Willie Blair, Doug Bockler, and of course the great closer Trevor Hoffman. And Worrell also did some starting. Did a great job there too. Here's Joyner. He'll take it himself, and Mabry is now 0 for 3. Well, Joey, you remember yesterday, must win for Cleveland.
Right.
We saw them doing a lot of things, maybe out of their game a little bit, swinging a little bit too hard, trying to do too much, as we saw maybe with Caminetti earlier today and in this series. But then the Indians came storming back against Baltimore, eventually tied the ball game. And now today, here we are. The Padres in the same situation that Cleveland was in yesterday, and now they've come right back into the game. Here's Pagnazzi. And that's a called strike. And I think, it's got to be a little distressing for La Russa. He had a good-sized lead against him. Now they've let them back in, and here's the strong bullpen. It could be tough to lengthen that lead any further for them. But I like the part where you were starting to say that was a good point. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that was a good point, John.
Oh, thank you. I was going to take it to federal court if you had to come out there with that.
No, I was going to say that's a good point. But we also have to take note of the fact that, the Padres and the Indians, neither one of those teams win their divisions by quitting when they get behind. They had to have been behind several times during the year, and the Padres came back quite often. So did the Cleveland Indians.
1-2 now the count to Pagnazzi. He is flying to center and struck out. Ken Caminetti, 40 homers, 130 RBIs. Tony Gwynn, one of the great hitters of his era.
That's 7 batting championships, John. Is that only Stan Musial and Rogers Hornsby in the National League had as many as 7. Honus Wagner had 8, and of course Tyrus Cobb had 12. So
that is a base hit for Pagnazzi. Looks like it's pretty good hitting right there. Fifth hit for the Cardinals now, and here is Luis Alicea.
This pitch is down and away, as John said. Good hitting. See how he stayed on the ball. A lot of times when the ball goes down and away, a guy will pull his front shoulder out, and that's why you can't hit that pitch down and away. Pagnazzi stayed right there. He was probably trying to hit that ball back through the middle and kept his front shoulder in, and he got the barrel out and pulled it in the hole for a base hit.
I was trying to get into the analyst role myself there for a while.
No, that's all right. I do play-by-play for a year once in a while. We help each other out.
Yeah, and that's going to stop right now.
Okay.
Or I'm boycotting. That'll be it. 0-1 the count to Luis Alicea. I'm trying to get into this baseball way of negotiating. And that's a strike. 0-2. From now on, Joe, you need something from me. Here's my response. You can rest assured. Oh yeah, over my dead body.
We say we have to negotiate it. All right.
Oh yeah, yeah. Take it or leave it, buddy. 0-2 the count. And that's down the net. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Alicea. The appeal on the check swing, and the veteran Harry Wendelstadt ruled in favor of Alicea. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
On your point, I guess we can all agree that something's not right. We just can't agree how to fix it, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Good pitch.
Strike 3 call.
Nice curveball there from Worrell. You do not see a lot of pitchers throwing the overhand curveball anymore because it's very difficult to control. It either remains high or breaks too low. I mean, this is just perfect. That's a beautiful pitch right on the outside corner. And you see the rotation on it right down over the outside corner. Most pitchers now will throw the slider because it's easier to control. But a curveball is a great pitch. And then you see Alicea. I don't know if he was upset with himself or thought the pitch was outside, but he's out.
I'm thinking he's upset with himself there, Joe.
I hope so.
Too close to take. Andy Bennis. Now, the Cardinals have had 2 innings in which they have scored. The 3rd inning, and Andy Bennis got a bunt down to help set up that run. And the 5th inning, when they scored 3, and Andy Bennis started that rally with a single. Andy Bennis, offensive superstar. And I think Bruce Bochy has decided it's time to start getting this guy out. Time to quit letting the 150 hitters beat the Padres. 1-1 to Bennis. What was that signal, Jimmy?
Actually, I wasn't watching.
And it's 1-2 now to Bennis.
I was trying to get a peek at what the pitcher was doing. There's Bruce.
Do you think he was calling pitches there for Flaherty?
No. No, he's calling whether to pitch out or not. He gives a signal of whether they want to pitch out.
1-2 the count. And Bennis is down on strikes. Well, the Cardinals are going quickly. 1 man left. We go to the 7th inning. Wally Joyner coming up. 4-3 St. Louis.
Roll into Pep Boys right now and get a full set of 4 70,000-mile tires for just $169. That's any size, any 4 70,000-mile tires in stock for just $169 at Pep Boys now.
It's fall. That means 2 things: football and projects. That's why we're having the True Value Kickoff Kick-In sale. We're kicking it off by kicking in bonus items and extra savings, so you can get all those projects done and still have time to enjoy the season. Get True Test Easy Care Paint just $9.97, our lowest price of the year. We'll kick in a poster painted by an NFL quarterback free. True Value, official hardware store of the NFL and homes everywhere.
If you're going on a business trip, there's one thing you shouldn't forget: to rent a car from Dollar. Because Dollar awards American Airlines Advantage miles. And when you rent on a Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, you'll get double miles on American, America West, Continental, TWA, or United. So you can go someplace where you can forget everything that has anything to do with business. Double frequent flyer miles. Just one more reason Dollar makes sense.
As president, I would reduce the deficit by cutting spending in all facets of government.
Hey, if the government wants to save money, they should take a lesson from small business and go to Office Max. Office supplies, computers, electronics, software, furniture. Great stuff like Xerox colored copy paper and Ebershard pens at guaranteed low prices. So any business can save time and money, even the government. You know, maybe America needs a candidate who actually knows how to save money.
How about you?
Office Max, we go to the max for you.
It's the ultimate video of Major League Baseball magic. This week in baseball, 20 years of unforgettable plays and bloopers. This video salutes the best and funniest plays from TWIB. For 20 years, these amazing highlights made us laugh and cheer. All the plays you love are in the video. This week in baseball, 20 years of unforgettable plays and bloopers. Available in stores now. A message from Major League Baseball.
Game 2 of the National League Division Series between the Padres and Cardinals. 4-3 St. Louis. The Cardinals already ahead 1-0. We go to the top of the 7th inning now before the huge crowd at Busch Stadium. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without express written consent. 56,752, the paid crowd. It's the largest crowd for either a baseball or football game in the history of this ballpark. Wally Joyner against Andy Bennis. Bennis has 9 strikeouts. Joyner has been gotten twice, which is kind of surprising. I guess it tells you how good Bennis' stuff is today, because Wally usually makes contact.
Wally's a very fine hitter. And in this Padre lineup, especially at the beginning of the season, he and Tony Gwynn really complemented each other. Very similar type hitters. There's Bruce Bochy. Bruce was a teammate of mine. I don't know if you knew that or not, John, but we played together with the Astros in 1980. And I did not think of him as being a manager. Art Howe, the Oakland A's manager, now was on that team too. I thought he might be a manager.
1-0 to Joyner. That's a strike. 2-1. Well, you and Bruce played together in one of the great National League Championship Series ever seen. The Astros-Phillies that year. What a series that was.
I can still see my old buddy Pete Rose running into Boshi to score the winning run that kept that series alive for Philadelphia.
And Bruce hates it whenever you bring that up.
I know, I do too.
Mabry gets the unassisted out. Joyner actually put the ball in play for the first time today, but he is nonetheless retired. One down. Here is John Flaherty. Andy Bennis. No walks, 9 strikeouts, 3 runs and 4 hits allowed. All the runs earned despite the error by McGee. And with 84 pitches thrown, it looks like he should be able to go a good long while in this rather cool October weather. 1 out, nobody on. The batter, John Flaherty. Joe, I mean, we've been talking about the umpire situation, and I mean, we've had a little fun with it because it just seems another one of those things in baseball. It could end up getting out of hand. You've had some serious suggestions, though, about maybe the role that the commissioner's office and Bud Selig could and should play in this whole thing. The ball is back out of play, and it's strike 1 to Flaherty. And the other aspect is, I mean, the umpires, I think, everybody's in agreement, have a good point in terms of the penalty to Roberto Alomar was not serious enough. And can there not be a meeting of the minds? Can these people not get together and talk about a way, if they can't rectify it in terms of Roberto Alomar, for the future, an agreement about how these things will be handled should something like that come up again, and hopefully it never will.
You're right. But I think the problem, John, and I hope it doesn't turn into this, but Alomar and Hirschbeck can become the pawns in this problem that we have again, where you argue with, you know, all the union chiefs start to argue with the baseball heads again.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because I think sometimes, you know, you get into an argument, you forget the reason, you just go forward with the argument.
1-2 the count to Flaherty. He's 0 for 2. Left center. Jordan had to fight the sun at first, but he came out and made the grab in the shadows. Ron Gant, I beg your pardon. Jordan in right field. One of those fast Cardinal outfielders.
Yeah,
this particular one. Yeah, this was Ron Gant.
Yeah.
And he came out to make the grab. 2 down.
The one with the shades, he's the single shade guy.
And you see the shadows engulfed most of the field now.
Well, that's good for the hitters. They can see if the entire field is in shadows, it's better. Even though it's still too early for the lights to take hold, it's better than having part of it in the sunlight and the other in the shadows.
Chris Gomez 0 for 2. And it's a ball outside. 2 balls, no strikes, 2 down, nobody on in the 7th inning. 4-3, St. Louis ahead. I like that idea. I mean, grab Richie Phillips from the umpires, Donald Fear from the Players Association, the league president. Get together and hammer it out.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't even a question about who gets how much money. I mean, this is a serious issue. Let's address that and work it out amicably.
Because what's good for baseball should be the most important thing right now, and you're starting to win the fans back. You definitely do not want to lose them again over something like this. So, you know, again, you and I are powerless to do anything about it, but I think that's what needs to be done. And you just mentioned we have the biggest crowd in the history of this stadium here today. And I tell you what, a lot of them are going to be very disgruntled if this turns into a situation where the Major League umpires are not officiating the playoffs for the remainder of the playoffs, or even miss a day. Yeah. It's going to turn into a problem.
Baseball seems to be reacting to this action by the umpires and saying that is not an appropriate response. Let's just forget whether it's appropriate or not and work it out. Because there's an issue underlying that. Let's work on that issue. 3-2 the count. So I don't charge for these opinions. We provided free of charge. So an infield hit for Gomez. Ozzie Smith able to knock it down. But Gomez is on.
Well, there's a ground ball in the hole. You see Gaetti over near the line, so he has no chance to get it. And Ozzie also has to get it on an in-between hop, which is very tough to do. But even if he catches that ball that deep on the outfield grass, he's not going to be able to throw Gomez out. Gomez runs pretty well.
Hit number 5 for the Padres, and here is Jody Reed. Jody Reed, the former Red Sox, the former Brewer, the former Dodger, and now with the Padres. And Jody, of course, has been in the postseason himself a few times. He's had 1 hit in this series. Today he's flied out to shallow center and struck out. And a strike from Bennett. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Scott Livingstone is on deck in case Reed keeps the inning going.
The pitcher spot due up next. Meanwhile, the Cardinals bullpen is busy. We can see the Cardinals bullpen clearly. The Padres bullpen is busy as well, but we can't really see into the Padres bullpen cave. The right-hander T.J. Matthews and the left-hander Tony Fossas warming up for the Cardinals. There's a drive hit high in the air to left field. Coming in for the ball is Gant into left center. And that's the inning. We are going to the last of the 7th. Ozzie Smith is coming up, then McGee and Gant, 4-3 Cards.
Remember the day when you were finally this tall? Suddenly you had the freedom to go places you never could before. The sky was the limit. But it was always more fun to go there with a friend. That's why Southwest Airlines brought back Friends Fly Free. Just buy a ticket at our full unrestricted fare, and a friend flies with you free.
Want to go again?
Southwest Airlines.
Here's a clever summer cool down. Plymouth Clearance Chillers, where the 96s make way for new 97s. Now starting at $17,195, get a Plymouth Voyager. Or cool off with cash back and a great clearance price on Plymouth Breeze. Or splash in low 1.9% financing or $1,000 back on Plymouth Neon. Chill out with Clearance Chillers. Another clever idea from Plymouth. Don't miss clearance savings. Now at your local Plymouth dealer.
Ever help a stranded motorist?
No.
Give blood?
No.
Volunteer work?
Oh, well, no. But I did make a donation to Ronald McDonald House Charities.
Oh, the phone thing.
Donate $20 to Ronald McDonald House Charities, and Southwestern Bell will give you free activation, use of a free Nokia cellular phone, plus up to 75 extra minutes a month.
I like puppies.
Southwestern Bell. Yes, it's that simple.
ESPN's coverage of the National League Division Series is brought to you by Circuit City. Hurry into Circuit City today. You can't get a better price. They guarantee it. And by the Norelco Reflex Action Razor. Anything closer could be too close for comfort. On the shores of the Mississippi and the Gateway Arch, we're in St. Louis, one of the great historic baseball towns, as well as being a great part of the history of the United States. And here is Ozzie Smith, a great part of the great history of the Cardinals. And he takes 2 high from Tim Worrell. Ozzie has been the perfect leadoff man today. He's been on base every time he's come up. 2 walks and a single. He singled as part of that 3-run 5th inning rally. And the breaking ball from Worrell misses. 2-0.
I guess they think Ozzie Smith is going to hit a home run every time up today, and they're throwing him breaking ball after breaking ball. I think you just have to throw Ozzie Smith strikes and make him swing the bat.
2-0 to Ozzie. Caminetti plays him shallow at third. And Finley got a late break, but the ball dies out there in his glove, and there is 1 away.
You know, you're talking about St. Louis. They have great tradition here. We saw the statue of Stan Musial outside when we came in. Stan Musial and Red Shane just threw out the first ball.
I thought that was Bob Euchre. You told me that was a statue of him. Come on.
And I also saw another legend here, Lou Brock, Hall of Famer. He's standing right outside of our box. There's the statue of Stan Musial.
Euchre always said that he was so touched that they built a statue in his honor. He said, and he was so touched by it, he didn't want to complain that That they had
Didn't look
mislabeled
like
it.
him, huh?
Well, he said they mislabeled it Stan the Man, he said. And made him a left-handed hitter. Of course, Euclid's a right-handed swinger. 0-1 the count. Whatever happened to you? 1 ball, 1 strike to Willie McGee. He's been on base twice. He's singled home a run. He has walked and scored a run. The old guys, Smith and McGee, getting it done at the top of the order for the Cardinals today. Finley. And that's out number 2.
John, I want to make a point here that I should have made earlier, and that is that when Willie McGee threw the ball over the third baseman's head that allowed Ricky Henderson to score, you know, Willie McGee is playing with a bad finger on his right hand, on his throwing hand, and I'm sure that had something to do with the fact that the ball got away from him when he threw the ball in from the outfield. So, you know, I want to just make that point clear. A lot of guys have injuries this time of the year, and they affect their performance sometimes.
Check swing by Gant. Worrell kind of picked it up awkwardly but effectively and got his man. So Gant, who's had the big hit of the day, retired this time. The pitcher's spot, then Ricky Henderson and Tony Gwynn coming up.
Sad, isn't it? Finding out you paid too much for your stereo. Circuit City, you can't find a lower price. We guarantee it.
Good morning. This is your wake-up call. And this is the new Norelco Reflex Action Razor. Anything closer could be too close for comfort. A blade can leave you feeling irritated. What would possess it to do that? Introducing the Norelco Reflex Action Razor. A great shave with less irritation than blades. What are you going to do with your tank of gas?
This is an 83 Malibu. We got it for a wedding present. It's got a lot of sentimental value. Got a few dings, but it has almost 300,000 miles. This car has been a car, a truck. It's been everything. I've done all my own maintenance on this car. I've been adding Slick 50 regularly, and it continues to run so great. I've used Slick 50 from the moment I got this car as a gift. My son's into karate. He's very good. We take him to his lessons. We put 400 to 500 miles a week on this car.
There are miles and miles of Slick 50 stories. That's why it's America's favorite engine treatment.
What are you going to do with your tank of gas?
Later on SportsCenter, after a 5-week absence, a big return and Big D. More problems, though, for the Jets. We'll tell you how long Keyshawn Johnson will be out. And the Padres look to even their series in St. Louis. Be sure to join us for SportsCenter following the game.
Cardinals 4, Padres 3, top of the 8th inning in Game 2 of the division series. Now coming up tomorrow night, the Colorado Avalanche, the Stanley Cup champions a year ago, and now they'll try and do it again. Their encore season begins tomorrow night right here in St. Louis against Brett Hull and the St. Louis Blues, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN NHL Hockey. Brett Hull, by the way, is here today. And Brett looks like one of the next generation of Hull superstars.
And Brett's just like the ball players of today. He's got the glasses on top of his head. Got the shades up.
The ball players and the umpires.
Yeah.
But he's got them but you, Joe.
Well, let me get mine out here.
Come on. Show me a little style, would you? His ball one to the pinch hitter, Scott Livingstone, I presume. 1 ball to no strikes from Andy Bennis. The bullpen is busy for the Cardinals. One thing that really worked to their advantage, there's their veteran Rick Honeycutt warming up in the bullpen. I mean, La Russa used his bullpen a lot here on Tuesday and then got a day off. I mean, they're all fresh again. So the schedule makers kind of helped La Russa out in this one.
You're right.
I mean, Dennis Eckersley, what is he, 41? Honeycutt's 42. And they both worked, especially Eckersley, worked real long for him on Tuesday. Might not have been able to come back for game 2 had it been yesterday.
Well, no doubt about it. Yeah. Because he's talking to La Russa today. He said he could use Eckersley in the 8th inning again today if he had to.
They're going to have another day off tomorrow.
Yeah.
That kind of changes things. You take a day off after every game.
Right.
3-1 the count to Scott Livingstone. 4-3, the Cardinals leading in the 8th inning. Leadoff man Ricky Henderson is on deck. That is a base hit. Man, these Padres pinch hitters. Chris Gwynn with a pinch hit single in the 6th, and now Livingstone off the bench to lead off the 8th with a single. Now Henderson coming up, and La Russa got to start getting nervous here.
Well, good hitting here by Livingstone. Pitches over the outside part of the plate. He just slaps it to left field for a base hit. And I think this is the inning the Padres are going to have to do something, John. They're in the 8th inning, and they're going to get, Ricky Henderson. They go 1, 2, 3. They're going to be right at the top of their order. They're going to have to make something happen right here.
Ricky reached base 3 times in game 1 on Tuesday with a homer, a walk, and a single. In fact, in that ball game, his last 3 times after they retired him twice. Today they retired him twice. In fact, Andy Bennis retired him twice. But then in the 6th, he singled as part of a 2-run rally. Ball 1 outside.
And the one thing about Ricky Henderson, he can also hit the ball out of the ballpark. He's not just a guy, a normal leadoff hitter. You get him in certain situations, and he can hit the ball out of the ballpark, as we saw the first game here.
The top hitters in the order for the Padres have gotten it done today. Other than Ricky Henderson, they did not get it done on Tuesday. And it is 2-0 to Ricky Henderson. The left-handed batting Gwynn, and then the left-handed batting Finley to follow Ricky, and the left-hander Honeycutt up in the bullpen. There's Gwynn. He is on deck. Pagnazzi out to speak to Bennis, who has just gone past 100 pitches for the ball game, but still not a whole lot of pitches for him.
And not in this type of weather, especially because, as you said, this is crisp weather here, so he shouldn't get that tired. We see Dave Duncan. He is the pitching coach for the Cardinals.
Of course, it seems like where Tony La Russa goes, Tony always makes sure he brings Dunk with him.
And they have worked very well together over the years and figuring out how to use everyone in the bullpen properly.
2-0 to Ricky Henderson. Nice pitch right in the corner, 2-1.
Well, Ricky thought the pitch was outside, and that was a big pitch because the count goes to 3-0. Obviously, big difference there. And Ricky thinks this pitch is outside.
Well, Ricky always thinks it's outside if he doesn't swing. And he's had one of the great discerning batting eyes of any leadoff man ever. I mean, he gets a lot of walks every year. 125 walks this year. Check swing, and Ricky very upset now with himself.
Well, he hit 247 for the year, but he had an on-base percentage, John, of over 400. 402. And this pitch is ball 3, and Ricky cannot hold his swing up in time. You see how upset he is. Again, it makes a big difference if you're hitting 3-1 rather than 2-2.
Ricky only hit in the 240s, as Joe mentioned, but still scored 110 runs.
He had 241 to be exact, rather than 247. But he had his on base. I mean, to get on base that much, but you mentioned 125 walks. That's the reason.
2-2 the count to Henderson. And he fouls it off to the right. Back toward the mezzanine. Tony Gwynn on deck. This is a huge man to keep off the base paths, with Gwynn coming up next.
Well, this Andy Bennis, if he does not retire Ricky Henderson, I think he's going to be out of the ball game. I think they're going to bring in Honeycutt to pitch to Gwynn. But so this is a big hitter here for Andy Bennis.
And now it is finally ball 3 to Ricky Henderson.
Well, the question is, do you send Livingstone from first base with Henderson up here? And, knowing Bruce Bochy from the past, I would say probably not. But you never know.
Oh, he's too slow. Yeah. Sorry, Scott. Mabry on the bag with him at first. And just in case, Bennis looks him back over at first base. Ozzie at short. And the second baseman, Alicea, both pulled in a little bit. Double play depth for the Cardinals. Alicea also pulled over toward the middle of the diamond. You see how they're lined up there. Big hole on the right side. 4-3 Cardinals, 8th inning. Nobody out. Now Ricky will make Bennis wait.
I think Bennis got a sign he didn't want to throw that pitch. Maybe it was a fastball. He didn't want to throw it where Pagnozzi wanted him to, or he wanted a breaking ball. See, he didn't. That's what it was. He wanted a fastball in. Pagnozzi was giving it away.
Look out. That's ball 4. Well, that was huge. I mean, Ricky Henderson didn't care how he did it. He just wanted to get on base. Now they have moved the possible tying run into scoring position. The possible go-ahead run is also on base. And the league's batting champion, one of the great hitters of his or any other era, Tony Gwynn, coming up, and Duncan on the way out, and he's already himself made the call. Honeycutt, who came in to face Gwynn in game 1, he's coming in again.
Everybody. Special financing now available. Where the la is the cow.
Do I like to shop? Oh, yes. How you doing? Franks and beans? Aisle 5. Beans and Franks? Aisle 7.
Hi. Hi.
Fat-free. Nothing but carb. Check this out.
You're our 1 millionth shopper.
Even at the supermarket, you can do more with the American Express card. I love this card.
It starts here. And it starts here. And it even starts here. Because it all starts here at Walmart, home of the EverStart battery. A powerful new battery that you can count on to start when you need it to. And since it's at Walmart, you can also count on a good price. EverStart. The name says it all.
Yeah, those Cardinal fans have got the lead right now, but they're a little bit nervous. 2 men on, nobody out, and the league's batting champion coming up, Tony Gwynn here. Ron Gant with a big blow so far. A bases loaded 3-run double in the 5th inning over the head of Finley. That made it 4-1 for the Cardinals. The rally started on an Andy Bennis single. McGee scored all the way from first, but then in the 6th, it was Tony Gwynn with this base hit to drive in 1, and then Ricky Henderson did the rest, prompting a wild throw from McGee, and Ricky scored 2. That made it a 1-run game. And now Andy Bennis is finished. Andy could win this game. He could have nothing to do with it. He could even lose it right now. But he's out. We know that. Pretty good ball game, though, for Bennis overall. 9 strikeouts and 1 walk. But I'll tell you what, Joe, you mentioned Ricky Henderson at the very beginning. And he got the Padres going with an infield hit in the 6th. And then, as you pointed out at the time, prompting that throw by Willie McGee, and now he gets the big walk here to set this stage for Tony Gwynn here in the 8th.
You're right. And they bring in Rick Honeycutt just as we suspected, because, you know, Rick Honeycutt has remained in the big leagues to pitch in these types of situations. His job is to get left-handers out, not necessarily strike them out, get the ground ball, but to get the left-handers out, and he's done a great job of that.
There's Eckersley. He came on in the 8th inning on Tuesday, and now he is up in the 8th inning again, along with the younger Mark Pedkaisic. And Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn was slapping out hits all over the lot. 12 years ago when the Padres made it to the World Series. And at least that much has not changed in all those many years since. 353 for the year, the best in the league. And then an RBI single to the 6th. 2 men on with nobody out. Livingstone at second, Henderson at first. And the bunt. Honeycutt got Gwynn to pop out to end the 7th inning here on Tuesday. This time Bochy plays it very conservatively and has the league's leading hitter drop down a bunt.
Well, John, there comes a time when you have to make a decision. Tony Gwynn obviously led the National League in hitting for the 7th time, as we talked about, but this is a situation where you cannot afford to have him hit into a double play. And Tony, you know, with the bad heel, has not been running as well as normal, so you can't let him destroy your inning by hitting into a double play. And you see Tony does the job. He turns around and bunts. Now all they really need is a ground ball to...
Good afternoon, everybody. Gary Miller in our Major League Baseball studios. We're having some technical problems at our game in St. Louis. We are trying to get the feedback up for you. It is a pretty big situation going on as the Padres try to get back in this game. They're down a run in the 8th inning. Tony Gwynn has just bunted runners over to 2nd and 3rd as Rick Honeycutt has come in relief for the Cardinals, who have a 1-run lead and are trying to take a 2-0 lead in this series before it shifts back to San Diego. That is the situation at the moment. Don't forget that also this evening, later tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, it'll be the Braves and the Dodgers. Atlanta leading that series 1-0. That's at 8 Eastern Time on Fox. And also, we have games throughout the week until these divisional series end. You can see them here on ESPN. On Friday, the Indians and the Orioles resume. We'll have that one for you. But right now, the issue at hand is John and Joe at Busch Stadium, guys.
Hi, Gary. Transition on the technical problem. Steve Foley had a ground ball to the first baseman. And the tying run scored on that play. Livingstone came in to score from third base. Henderson took third base. The tie ball gave 4-4. Here's how they got the tying run.
Well, good job by Finley. You have to make sure you put the ball in play because you've taken a leading hitter, Tony Gwynn, and had him give himself up. The last thing you really wanted to do was for Finley not to be able to get him off. Good job by Livingstone. Livingstone, the first pitch, ground ball, he takes off and scores, and now they're back to score. And that's what they wanted. They figured their bullpen is better in the long run than the Cardinals.
Now the intentional.
We apologize again. We do have the video for you. We are having audio problems from Busch Stadium in St. Louis, so we'll describe the game for you from our studios here as we're in the 8th. 2 out, 1-0 count on Wally Joyner. Rick Honeycutt on in relief. Padres have just tied the game on a ground ball. There's the 1-0 pitch, breaking ball to Joyner, tops it up in the air. Ozzie Smith gets the 3rd out. And the Cardinals would come to bat in their half of the 8th with a brand new game. It's 4-all. And we will take you back. Hopefully we'll have our problems corrected. But either way, we will bring you the bottom of the 8th right after this.
At AutoZone, we carry filters for just about every car on the road. And we've got most every kind of oil you could ever need, more than 10 brands and 30 weights. But no matter which oil you choose to put in your car, you gotta do something with the old stuff. So just bring your used oil back to us. We'll take care of it for you. You see, helping you recycle, that's just one more reason why there's no place better than AutoZone.
Welcome to the family. You're amongst good people here.
Violet.
I have a tattoo. Would you like to see it?
Corky.
For me, stealing's always been a lot like sex.
Where's my money? Caesar.
I think I'm a dead man.
3 people.
I want the money.
Where's my money?
$2 million. One surprise after another.
You don't want to shoot me.
You don't know.
Bound. Rated R. Starts tomorrow at select theaters.
Pick up the new rodeo for the lowest price of the year during the Isuzu Big Deal Clearance event going on now. Oh yeah, mud sold separately.
Take a stroll down memory lane at the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
You crushed my knee. It was your toes. You broke my ribs.
It was your nose.
Ah, yes. I remember it well. You sacked me once.
I sacked you twice.
In pouring rain.
No, it was nice.
Ah, yes.
But when you go, don't forget your Visa card, because the Hall takes the NFL's best, but not American Express.
See ya, Nitschke.
It's Butkus.
Ah, yes.
Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
The Major League Baseball National League Division Series. Game 2 from St. Louis. The Padres 4, the Cardinals 4. The Padres have come back from a 4-1 deficit to tie this ball game before this huge crowd. And now Doug Bockler comes in from the San Diego bullpen in relief of Tim Worrell. Great job by Worrell. 2 shutout innings. Bockler had a strong season. Look at that, 65 and 2/3 innings, only 45 hits. A lot of walks, but a lot of strikeouts, more than 1 per inning.
Well, the strength of the Padres pitching staff has been, their bullpen, so they do not mind matching up their bullpen against the Cardinals bullpen at this point.
Well, Ryan Jordan leads it off, 0 for 3. The cleanup hitter. Bockler got a funny little foot kick there, doesn't he, Joe? That throw a hitter off?
Well, I wouldn't be watching his foot, John. No, but you're right. It does sometimes distract the hitter. But I don't think the hitters would have noticed unless you'd have pointed that since you pointed it out.
Well, I want them to start paying attention to that from now on. I mean, it looks like he kicks the foot in the air, and then he hits it before he actually continues in the kick.
But I'm going to be honest with you, John, I hadn't noticed it until you told me. But a hitter doesn't look that low, actually. He's looking at a spot up above his right shoulder.
And that's ball 3. Jordan has struck out twice and grounded out once. Maybe a timing device for Bockler or something?
Well, I'm sure it is, and a lot of pitchers tap their foot on the mound or tap their foot on the rubber, their back foot. He taps with his front foot.
3-0. And a 4-pitch walk. Well, we saw the stats there. He does issue a lot of walks. It's 4-4 after a Tony Gwynn bunt in the 8th inning. As Dan Warthen heads to the mound here to talk to Bockler. Steve Finley came up after the bunt with runners at 2nd and 3rd, and he got the tying run home on the first pitch he saw from Rick Honeycutt.
You're right. I mean, and he does a great job here. Everyone says, well, he didn't get a base hit, but he accomplished what they wanted to do. Tony Gwynn bunted to put the runners at 2nd and 3rd with less than 2. He grounds to first base. Livingstone gets a good break from 3rd base, and they tie the ball game. And that's exactly what they wanted Finley to do, make sure he put the ball in play and get the tying run home.
And again, I don't know if you were heard making your point about why the league's batting champion bunted, but I think it's a point worth repeating just in case.
Well, the Padres are in a do-or-die situation, and you want Tony Gwynn to move the runners along. Tony Gwynn's had a bad heel the entire season, so he doesn't run as well. The last thing you wanted was him to hit the ground ball for a double play, so you avoid that by moving the runners up with a sacrifice.
Speaking of which, there's Gaetti trying to sacrifice, and it's a foul. 0-1 the count. Well, and you mentioned that Tony Gwynn grounded into 17 double plays this year, 2nd highest on the Padres club.
And with a guy like Rick Honeycutt, 90% of the time you're going to hit the ball on the ground. So if Tony wouldn't have found a hole, he was more than likely going to hit it into a double play. So I think it was very smart of Bruce Bochy to have Tony Gwynn bunt, but he showed you why he's a batting champion as well. He just walked up there and bunted. A lot of guys can't bunt. Tony Gwynn walked up, first pitch, got it down.
I'm trying to get a read. Here's how good a bunter Gary Gaetti is. He had 4 sacrifice bunts during the regular season. Jordan at first base.
And remember one thing, La Russa has to play this like it's the 5th game. He told me that's the way he's going to play it. And both managers seem to be playing this game that way.
And again, Gaetti unable to get the bunt down. That one he just missed entirely. 0-2 the count. You mentioned last night a real exciting ball game at Yankee Stadium. That was a little bit different, though, because the Rangers had the 1-0 lead going home.
Yeah.
I mean, they They had already accomplished at worst a split in that series. But Joe Torre, man, everybody pitched in that ball game for the Yanks, and they came back and won it.
And they bunted and did a lot of things. And I think that's what you have to do this time. You're in a short series. Every at-bat is very important.
Way outside, 1-2. Both bullpens are busy right now. In fact, it's a lot of closer action going in the two bullpens here. Marusa and Dave Duncan chatting in the Cardinal dugout.
And that smile there is for that pitch not getting away. You know, as a manager on the opposing team, you see a ball in the dirt, you hope that it gets away, so your runner would have been able to move up.
And back to the bag is Jordan. Jordan, by the way, stole 22 bases this year. Got caught only 5 times. Jordan asks for time, does a little groundskeeping and, around the spot where he gets his lead. Eckersley is up in the Cardinal bullpen. And we know Hoffman, the Padres closer, had gotten up in the cave out there. Way outside again, 2-2. And we also understand Fernando Valenzuela has gotten up in the Padre bullpen. Now remember, there's the San Diego bullpen, that subterranean bullpen. There's Fernando on the left. Hoffman, the hard-throwing closer, on the right. Here it is. It's back behind the left field wall, but back out of view. Jordan at first. Nobody out. And now, after being 0-2 to Gaetti, Gaetti was trying to make an out. And now it's 3-2 to Gaetti.
And what that does is just puts Brian Jordan in motion at first base. He'll be running on the pitch. I mean, they try to throw him breaking balls. They've thrown 3 straight breaking balls in the dirt. So now you have to throw him a fastball. You can't bounce another breaking ball.
There goes Jordan. Caminetti waits for it. What an arm. Well, but they got him over.
Exactly. If you throw that pitch 2-2, then you get the force out at second base, and you have Gaetti on first base, who doesn't run as well as Jordan. But when you go to 3-2, you automatically give the other team a running start, and now you have a runner at second base. So they accomplished what they were trying to accomplish with the sacrifice. But it's all because you run the count to 3-2 that allows them to put the runner in motion. And you're right. Quite a gun there from Caminetti.
And that's been a problem all day long for the Padres. Scott Sanders walked the first man he faced today, and his control problems were a big part of his trouble all day long. And now here in the 8th, a leadoff walk to Jordan, and then the 0-2 becoming 3-2. So Bachler having those problems as well. This is an intentional walk now for the left-handed batting Mabry. By the way, we saw Fernando warming up in the Padre bullpen as Pagnazzi comes out on deck. Ray Langford, as we understand it, is going to be available as a pinch hitter if they should need him. And I'm guessing, Joe, that would be one of the big reasons why Fernando's warming up, just in case Langford should pop up out of the dugout.
Well, you mentioned they do not have a left-hander in their bullpen, except for Fernando, who is a starter normally. So they are using him in the bullpen in case he has to come in and get one left-handed hitter out.
All right, Pagnazzi coming up.
Well, I think this is a good play to go ahead and walk Mabry for 2 reasons. One, you know, you set up the double play and you get a right-hander at the plate. But the other reason is, even if you get Mabry out, you're going to have to get one other out. So you might as well try to end this inning with one pitch or one swing of the bat, a ground ball for a double play.
2 men on, 1 man out in the last of the 8th inning of a tie ball game. 4-4, last of the 8th. Another tight one. We've had a string of real close ball games here in these divisional series. Last night, the Yankees and Rangers, extra innings before the Yankees won it. Yesterday, in the afternoon, the Orioles and Indians tied at 4 into the last of the 8th before the Orioles went ahead and won the ball game. The Braves and Dodgers yesterday went 10 innings before Atlanta was able to win 2-1. Pickoff play. Jody Reed a little late with a tag on Brian Jordan.
Well, you saw something else there too, John. Brian Jordan, being a football player, was going to run over Jody Reed. He did not bother to slide. That's what makes that a tough play. I don't think they should be trying that too often because if he gets back there in time and bumps Jody Reed, the ball is going to go into center field.
High risk. Agnasi 1 for 3. Way outside. Flaherty did not even realize he had lost it. Now the runners have advanced.
Well, Flaherty saved him a couple of times by blocking those pitches in the dirt. Could not save him there. I mean, every time he's thrown anything but a fastball, it's been in the dirt. And, I mean, that's another one in the dirt away from Flaherty. Flaherty got there, but he couldn't come up with it. Now, Flaherty does get over there, but he doesn't catch it. Actually, the ball was real low. And watch Flaherty. He just does not come up with this one. He has blocked the other ones, but he couldn't block this one. This one was in the dirt, and here comes Bruce Bochy out. And I don't blame him. I don't know if I'd let this guy throw too many more pitches because, I mean, every time he's thrown anything but a fastball, it's been in the dirt.
So here we go again for the Padres.
Yeah.
Agonizing for Padres fans. I mean, they're pitchers. And so they got a lot of young pitchers in this ball club, and they're not able to get the ball over in this huge ball game. I guess a double switch coming here. Bochy stopping with the plate umpire Davis first off. Hoffman, the closer, coming on now to try and save the tie.
Don't let a new car payment be a financial burden. Call 1-800-32-SMART. About Smart Lease by GMAC. It just might give you something you wouldn't mind carrying around. Don't let a new truck payment stretch you to the limit. Call 1-800-32-SMART. About Smart Lease by GMAC. It keeps new vehicles well within reach.
Remember that first bike? It set you free. You could go places, see people. Whole neighborhoods opened up. But it was always more fun when a friend came along. That's why Southwest Airlines brought back Friends Fly Free. Just buy a ticket at our full unrestricted fare, and a friend flies with you free. Southwest Airlines.
Just ignore it.
Amoco Silver. For performance you can depend on.
Imagine a 24-hour network dedicated to bringing you nothing but news about sports. The best highlights, latest information, and instant updates, all right now, as it's happening. What would you call this network?
The most amazing, incredible, beautiful, wonderful network ever created by mortal man.
Well, not quite. ESPN News Network, the 24-hour sports news network from ESPN. Who else?
Game 2 of the National League Division Series between the Padres and the Cardinals. Must win for the Padres. The Cardinals, though, they feel the same, but they are the ones with a 1-0 lead here. 4-4, last of the 8th. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, and we're at, if we're not at the moment of truth, we're rapidly approaching it as Trevor Hoffman comes on. At this point, Bruce Bochy is saying, this is where we have to save this ball game in a 4-4 tie. Hoffman, one of the great closers in the game. Look at those numbers. Real tough to hit and a lot of strikeouts.
Well, that's what they need right now is a strikeout. That's why he's bringing his closer in. But again, it tells you how important this game is to both teams.
There is Jordan at third base and Mabry at first. At second, I beg your pardon. The infield is in. 1 ball and no strikes to count. The breaking ball, and it's a foul. 1 ball, 1 strike to Pagnazzi. Any chance of La Russa trying a suicide squeeze in this spot?
There's always that chance. In fact, you know, if I was thinking if he was going to squeeze, it was going to be on the first pitch because, you know, guy coming out of the bullpen, he's going to try to throw a strike. I was a little surprised that he threw him a breaking ball when his...
the glove. Only one play to be made. The Cardinals are ahead 5-4. Back at Hoffman, he got the glove on it, but not the squeeze on it. 5-4 Cardinals.
Well, that's also where the speed really helps you, because Jordan was going on contact and he just took off. Even though the infield was in, they had no shot at him. This ball's hit right back at Trevor Hoffman, off his glove, and you see Jody Reed, no play but first base. I mean, Jordan's out if he catches it, because he was going on contact and it was a line drive. He was going to be doubled off, but since they didn't, they had no shot at the plate.
Change up, waved at and missed by Alicea. 0-1 the count. It was interesting, Joe. He kind of stuck the glove out and then started to drop it and then brought it back again, but too late.
I think he misjudged how hard the ball was hit. It wasn't hit like a bullet, but he misjudged the speed of it.
Big curveball. Alicea showing bunt, taking ball one. Alicea 0 for 2 with a walk. And a crazy play. The Cardinals in this inning have had 2 infield outs and 2 walks, and out of all of that, they have a run. A wild pitch, a huge play. He scored a wild pitch, but I mean, Flaherty didn't do the job knocking that ball down either.
Well, Flaherty went to the clubhouse. I think he went to get another glove. Yeah, he went to get another glove. Let's take a look at this pitch. Now watch Hoffman. I think the fact that he thought it was hit harder than it was, John, it's a changeup or something off speed. See, he reaches up, like you say, he thought it was hit harder, and then he reached back up, went off the tip of his glove, no chance.
So it fooled him.
Yes, it did.
The batter hit a changeup. 1 ball, 1 strike to Alicea. 2-1. Now, the pitcher's spot is due up next, but Ray Langford has come out on deck. Should they have any ideas about walking the 8th place hitter Alicea? Those were erased when Langford came up out of there. That one is hit in the air to shallow right. Gwynn makes the ground. Dennis Eckersley got the save on Tuesday, and he's coming in again. Flaherty coming up. 5-4 the Cardinals.
This morning, strange things are happening all over the world. Shops are about to open empty. Parts suppliers are partless, and assembly workers have nothing to assemble. Is this any way to run a business? With FedEx it is. Every morning the world gets just what it wants, just when it needs it, without expensive warehousing. Gone today, here again tomorrow. Now that's the way the world works.
That wide brown stripe means we're in for a harsh winter.
No, mild winter.
Wait, it's the black stripes, which means blizzards.
While opinions on the weather have differed, folks have always agreed Lennox is the name to trust for heating and cooling.
Let's ask Dave.
And you can still count on Lennox today, even if you can't count on the forecast.
Got a question, boys?
Never mind.
Lennox, one less thing to worry about.
And now, from Paris, from Milan, from St. Louis.
Introducing a new look from Budweiser. Born on dating. It's the day your Bud was born, because fresh beer tastes better.
Nice label.
Thanks.
Northwest Airlines can take you as far away and bring you as close to home as any airline on Earth.
Some people just know how to fly.
Cardinals lead the series 1-0. Now they lead the game 5-4 as we go to the 9th. And Dennis Eckersley has come on and try and wrap it up for these cheering Cardinal fans. He did wrap up game 1 with 2 men on. Tony Gwynn, it went right back to him. Some things never change, and one of those is that Eckersley, even now, 1 day away from his 42nd birthday, still shows that emotion out on the field.
Well, you have to play with emotion.
Eckersley in. Also, Mike Gallego is in at second base, replacing Alicea. Gallego hit in the 9th spot, Eckersley the 8th. First ball swinging, Flaherty with a pop-up, and the Wizard. 1 away. Ozzie, who has been on base 3 times today. Today he's done it more as a leadoff man than with his glove. And I tell you, the other part of it is only 2 walks allowed by Cardinals pitching, one of those intentional, but those bases on balls have really hurt the Padres. 6 walks, 3 of them became runs. And Joe, not just the walks, but also an 0-2 to Gaetti.
Yeah.
He was trying to make an out, and then 3 straight pitches in the dirt from Buckley. And then later a wild pitch by Buckley.
And that moved the runner in the scoring position because they went to 3 balls and 2 strikes. So just not being able to put the hitters away and not being able to throw strikes. I mean, that's a tough combination.
And that Padre dugout, as you can tell, is rather glum right now, hoping that they can pull one out of the hat here against one of the great relief pitchers ever seen in this game. Chris Gwynn, who got a huge pinch hit back in the 6th inning when they began their comeback. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Gomez, who is 1 for 3. The 42-year-old Honeycutt is the pitcher of record for a win, and Eckersley, who turns 42 tomorrow. Here's Honeycutt. Eckersley trying to save it for Honeycutt. Two and 2. Greg Vaughn, 41 home runs for the year, and has come out on deck. Eckersley with 2 down and nobody on Tuesday got into some trouble before he finally wrapped it up. 1 out, nobody on here. And now 2 men are gone. Gomez down on strikes.
Well, it's a little slider toward the outside corner, and he gets it right on the outside corner. Gomez swings and misses.
Dennis Eckersley on the hill. Wife Nancy Eckersley up with the rest of the crowd here. Jody Reed leaving the ball game now. Greg Vaughn, powerful right-handed swinger. Ken Caminetti came through with a big home run today, but just now it wasn't quite enough. And Vaughn is the last hope. 2 for 11, but with a home run against Eckersley. A little bit high, ball 1. Vaughn had 41 home runs, 10 of them for the Padres after the trade with Milwaukee, although he hit only 206 for San Diego in 141 at bats.
Eckersley came in and got him out in the 8th inning in the game 1.
1-1. Vaughn trying to tie it up right there.
Well, this is the toughest job in baseball, to be hitting with 2 outs and your team 1 run down and coming off the bench. I mean, that's really about all you can do is go up there and just let it all go.
Everybody on their feet here at Busch Stadium. 56,752. This should do it. Gary Gaetti. The Cardinals are ahead. 2 games to none. Heading for San Diego. And Tony Gwynn can only hope that history will repeat itself. In '84, they lost 2 at Wrigley Field, went home to San Diego, and won 3 in a row against the Cubs. If it's going to happen again, that's the way it will have to happen. Dennis Eckersley has saved each of the first 2 wins. And now the Cardinals and Padres head west.
Well, it's not impossible, but a very difficult task in face of the Padres. But we'll see what happens on Saturday night.
5-4, the Cardinals win it. Stay tuned now. Sports Center coming up next. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Cardinals lead the Padres 2-0. What a scene here.
Remember the day when you were finally this tall? Suddenly you had the freedom to go places you never could before. The sky was the limit. But it was always more fun to go there with a friend. That's why Southwest Airlines brought back Friends Fly Free. Just buy a ticket at our full unrestricted fare, and a friend flies with you free.
Wanna go again?
Southwest Airlines.
Hey, Charles, 3 swings and you're out.
Who are you?
I'm the boatman's guy, your golf advisor in a tree. I want to talk to you about a boatman's home equity line. Low rates, interest is usually tax deductible. Heck, you could pay for a golf trip to Scotland.
Sounds good.
Unfortunately, you can't buy a new golf swing. Have you thought about my new golf video? It's called Go Ahead and Kick It. No one's looking.
You coming out of that tree?
Not anytime soon.
On an all-new Babylon 5.
If you're gonna do something, do it now.
On an all-new Babylon 5.
Tonight at 7.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Cardinals post-game show. I'm Rich Gould. You watch Game 2 right here on St. Louis 11. And what a final it was. The Cardinals beat San Diego 5-4. Dennis Eckersley gets the save. They lead the series 2-0 on a beautiful day. And wasn't Andy Bennis splendid? Strikes out Ricky Henderson. Then he goes and gets Ken Caminetti 4 strikeouts in the first 2 innings by Andy Bennis. Now the Cardinals will score first. Runners on at first and second base. Willie McGee, the hitter, breaking ball, a line drive into center field. Here comes Luis Alicea. He is safe, and the Cardinals lead it 1-0. Ken Caminetti, a dreadful series until this swing of the bat. Pitch was high, and Caminetti goes deep in the 5th inning, ties the game. BJ will climb the wall, but he can't get it. Home run, and the game is 1-1. And then in the 5th inning, bases full of Cardinals. Ron Gant tags one to deep center field. Over the head of Steve Finley. This will clear the bases. The Cardinals will take a 4-1 lead, and look at Willie fly home standing up. 6th inning, and the Cardinals let down somewhat defensively after McGee gets some congratulations, and the fans at Busch Stadium go just somewhat crazy. Here's Tony Gwynn, line drive, and it's in front of Willie. Now Willie throws to third base as Gwynn scores, and he throws way high. This allows Ricky Henderson to dive in. It makes it a 4-3 game. The Padres then made it 4-4. And in the 8th inning, Jordan on a third, a little liner by Pags that Trevor Hoffman misplays. The Cardinals take the lead 5-4, and that's how it stood. They win it. They now lead 2-0 after today's Game 2 at Busch Stadium. Question now is, who will pitch Game 3 for the Cardinals? Donovan Osborne swears he will. Osborne was bothered the last week of the season with a blister. Then he cut his hand on a broken champagne bottle during the Cardinals clubhouse celebration. He threw in the Cardinals bullpen for 20 minutes yesterday, and he said he is fit and ready to go.
So the ball sits on this side, so it's not too bad.
Do you just feel it as you're throwing? I mean, it's not.
No, I can't. No, I can't even feel it. No, I mean it might be a different story with the Band-Aid off, but no, I feel fine. Everything feels fine.
And there's breaking news on this day. It looks like the rest of the postseason could be played with replacement umpires. Late this afternoon, the umpires union said they will walk out after tonight's Braves-Dodgers game. Their unhappiness triggered by the Roberto Alomar spitting incident. It happened Friday night. Alomar spitting in the face of American League umpire John Hirschbeck. A 5-game suspension held over until next year really isn't what the umpires call justice. They want Alomar suspended now. But baseball precedent has been to allow players to play in the postseason, and when Alomar withdrew his appeal last night, that forced the umpire's hands. Cardinals a winner today, 5-4. You saw it here on 11. Time for us to break. We'll do some business, then we'll come back with more from Busch Stadium. We'll have the interview room. Bob Carpenter is live on the field. We'll show you highlights from other games when the Cardinals postgame show continues.
Remember the day when you were finally this tall? Suddenly you had the freedom to go places you never could before. The sky was the limit. But it was always more fun to go there with a friend. That's why Southwest Airlines brought back Friends Fly Free. Just buy a ticket at our full unrestricted fare, and a friend flies with you free.
Wanna go again?
Southwest Airlines.
For Caravan, we invented new ways to stash your stuff. Now we're building more bins and boxes, and a great new place to put them. The new Dodge Dakota. It's full of surprises. We packed our full-size Ram with Magnum power. Now we're reloading. The new Magnum-powered Dodge Dakota. It's full of surprises.
Let's go back in time, the 60s. Bob Dole's in Congress, votes against creating Medicare, against creating student loans, against the Department of Education, against a higher minimum wage. Still there. Against creating a drug czar, against the Brady Bill to fight crime, against family and medical leave, against vaccines for children, against Medicare again. Dole Gingrich tried to cut $270 billion. Bob Dole, wrong in the past, wrong for our future.
Welcome back. Right now, Bruce Bochy is in the interview room at Busch Stadium about to field reporters' questions. Obviously disappointed. His team down 2 games. Let's take you live to Busch.
Out there. You know, that came back to hurt us today. Was really command of, you know, on a couple pitchers there, and he had trouble throwing strikes, and you know he's got that ability to, you know, to get a big strikeout when he needs to, but today he just struggled with his command.
How did you see the wild pitch?
How did you see the wild pitch?
Well, I mean, it's obvious that hurt us. That really put us in a tight situation there, and you know, again, we started that inning with a walk and kind of pitched ourselves in trouble, and then a wild pitch compounded the situation, and you know, we came in with Hoffy, and it looked like he got a glove on the ball, couldn't quite get it, but the wild pitch, no question about it, it hurt.
Because of the problems you were alluding to with Sanders and also the control problems with Bachler, it seemed like they won the game or more that you sort of put them in a position to deal with the wildness?
Because of the control problems you mentioned with Sanders and also Bachler, they won the game, or you sort of
Well, we
gave it to them more?
Well, we certainly helped out with the walks, leadoff walks. That's the one thing you want to stay away from. You're asking for trouble when you do that, especially when it's to some guys that can run. And you know, the key is getting that leadoff hitter out. And today we had a tough time doing that.
How hard is it going to be to come back and win 3 straight?
That is manager Bruce Bochy as he speaks live. Interview room at Busch Stadium. And joining us now live on the field, Cardinals broadcaster Bob Carpenter. What a game, Bob, huh? Cardinals winning today 5-4, and I know you were thrilled to be there.
Well, I tell you, Rich, we've had 2 wonderful ball games here. Tuesday we talked about that being sort of a classic playoff game, and today really had a lot of the same elements. You had the big hit by Ron Gant that drove in the 3 runs, and the Cardinals had a seemingly insurmountable 4-1 cushion at that time. And then 1/2 inning later, Andy Bennis runs into some problems, and Willie McGee makes a defensive mistake, but the Cardinals managed to survive that. And it's interesting, Rich, that this ball game came down to the bottom of the 8th inning when a couple of very little things helped the Cardinals win this game. There, of course, was the leadoff walk to Brian Jordan, and then Gaetti, after failing to advance the runner, trying to bunt a couple of times, gets the ground ball. Then the wild pitch helps the Cards get the run over to third base with 1 out. And Tom Pagnozzi, we thought they might walk him intentionally to set up a double play. They decided to go ahead and pitch to him with Alicea on deck, a left-handed batter. And, of course, the Padre closer, Trevor Hoffman, is a right-handed pitcher. And then Pagnozzi manages to make enough contact to get the ball in play on the infield, and the Cardinals get the winning run. Then Eckersley comes in and very quickly gets the job done. And some of the Cardinal fans who've been sort of critical of Dennis Eckersley this year, I think now they're finding out, Rich, that at playoff time, he gets a little more efficient, a little more quick when he comes in and gets those 3 outs in the 9th inning.
The drive back by Pagnozzi was such a squirrely play as we watched the replay over and over. It looked like it was hit much harder than that, and Trevor Hoffman was simply fooled.
Yeah, I think he was. The ball was not hit as hard as he thought it was. Now, Rich, one thing that you and I talked about earlier that we want to update our fans on is the umpiring situation. The crew chief of this crew is Harry Wendelstedt. He was going to come out and join us, but the umpires have been advised by the National League and Major League Baseball not to talk publicly as individual crews about the umpiring situation right now. So right now, you know as much as we know here at Busch Stadium, and if we get a chance to talk to one of the umpires off the air lately, we'll pass that info along, but right now they're not talking about it, but evidently there may be replacement umpires for the rest of the series.
All right, Bob, hang tight, grab a player if you can, and we'll touch on the umpires a little bit later on. Appreciate it. Bob Carpenter live at Busch Stadium, where the Cardinals have won Game 2. They lead the series 2-0. And we'll be back with more on our Cardinals post-game show right after this.
Southwest Airlines employees demonstrating once again that you can have fun and still do a great job.
Ever help a stranded motorist?
No.
Give blood?
No.
Volunteer work?
Oh, well, no. But I did make a donation to Ronald McDonald House Charities.
Oh, the phone thing.
Donate $20 to Ronald McDonald House Charities, and Southwestern Bell will give you free activation, use of a free Nokia cellular phone, plus up to 75 extra minutes a month.
I like puppies.
Southwestern Bell. Yes, it's that simple.
It's the end of the model year, and from the winners of the 96 North American Car of the Year award comes the clearance of the year, the National Chrysler Clearance. Choose from all these 96 award-winning Chryslers. Get $1,000 cash back on the Sporty Cirrus, or APR as low as 1.9% on Chrysler Concorde, or $3,000 cash back on the luxurious Chrysler LHS. For a limited time only on 96 models during the National Chrysler Clearance. Only at your Chrysler dealer.
Welcome back to our Cardinals post-game show. We're waiting for Cardinals manager Tony La Russa to get into the interview room. First, some other baseball later tonight. Atlanta plays Los Angeles. Greg Maddux will pitch for the world champs. So the Dodgers could be in a deep hole. Atlanta winning 2-1 behind John Smoltz yesterday. Refresh your memory at Chavez Ravine. Nice crowd on hand, although it was not full. John Smoltz will win the Cy Young Award winner. If Mike Piazza has anything to do with it. I mean, Piazza striking out, and then Todd Hollinsworth with a little cue shot down the left field line tied the game at 1. But in the 10th inning, it's Javi Lopez with a solo home run over the right center field wall off Al Osuna, and the Braves go on to win that game. The final score was 2-1. And last night, Joe Torre's Yankees caught a break. It was late. Dean Palmer's 12th inning throwing error let the Yankees win 5-4 and even the series at a game apiece heading to Arlington. The Rangers blew a 4-1 lead. Take you back to Yankee Stadium and show you Cecil Fielder, who was the game star. Had a big night. After Juan Gonzalez had hit 2 home runs, Fielder with a home run to make it 4-2. And then in the 8th inning, it is Cecil again for manager Joe Torre. Line drive into right field. This will tie the game at 4. Here's the big play, though, happened in the 12th inning. Charlie Hayes is going to step up. He wants to bunt the runner along. Dean Palmer, a marvelous fielding third baseman, throws it away. And the Yankees go on to win as Derek Jeter scores 5-4. After the game, Will Clark said, hey, it ain't over yet.
The guys have done it all the time. I mean, they haven't even given a second thought. Whatever happened today is completely over and done with. And that's the way you got to approach this one. We had our chances. We also had the lead. We couldn't hold it. But, hey, it's over and done with. You know, you also got to tip your cap to the guys in the other clubhouse. I mean, they did a pretty good job.
So the Yankees in Texas tied at a game apiece. Cleveland on the ropes after losing the first 2 games in Baltimore. The American League has today off, and we're coming back with more from the Cardinals interview room. Tom Pagnazzi is getting set, plus Bob Carpenter live at Busch Stadium right after this.
It was no other than Frigidaire who was first with a warming drawer to keep dinner ready for those last to the table, and the first who dared to remove the agitator in a washer that now gently tumbles dirt out. Only Frigidaire defied all others with the first built-in filter putting clean ice and water within reach. So it's no wonder Frigidaire is first to give you up to a $100 buyer reward with just a phone call. Call 1-800-FRIGIDAIRE for your certificate today. The look of better performance can be yours.
Ever help a stranded motorist?
No.
Give blood?
No.
Volunteer work?
Oh, well, no. But I did make a donation to Ronald McDonald House Charities.
Oh, the phone thing.
Donate $20 to Ronald McDonald House Charities, and Southwestern Bell will give you free activation, use of a free Nokia cellular phone, plus up to 75 extra minutes a month.
I like puppies.
Southwestern Bell. Yes, it's that simple.
Hey, Charles, 3 swings and you're out.
Who are you?
I'm the boatman's guy, your golf advisor in a trade. I want to talk to you about a boatman's home equity line. Low rates, interest is usually tax deductible. Heck, you could pay for a golf trip to Scotland.
Sounds good.
Unfortunately, you can't buy a new golf swing. Have you thought about my new golf video? It's called Go Ahead and Kick It. No one's looking.
You coming out of that tree?
Not anytime soon.
Welcome back. Final score today. Busch Stadium. Cardinals beat San Diego 5-4, and we take you back live now to the field. Bob Carpenter alongside Tom Pagnozzi. Bob?
All right, Rich, in the last couple of games, the Cardinals have had a lot of guys that have contributed to the 2 wins. And, Tom, you were able to make contact with that runner at third base. Were you surprised at first that they didn't walk you intentionally, maybe to get a double play somewhere?
Well, no, because, right-hander in that situation, you got a switch hitter coming up next, and then you got a pinch hitter coming up. So, I knew they were going to pitch to me, or I felt that they were going to pitch to me. They had to try to get me out in that situation.
And just enough contact to get the run home.
Well, exactly. The big thing right there is I had to put the ball in play. If I strike out there, that's the worst thing you can do in that situation. So I was able to put the ball in play. I hit it just soft enough so he wasn't able to make a play on it. If you hit that hard, they make the play on it.
Yeah. Talk about your partner, Andy Bennis. How well did he throw today?
He threw the ball well. He dominated real early. Kind of hit a little bump in the 6th, but he threw the heck out of the ball. Did a heck of a job.
Pax, you guys worked well together. Nice job today.
Thank you very much, Bob.
All right, Tom Pagnozzi. Cardinals in a position for the sweep now, Rich, as they head to San Diego. And a lot of guys, as we mentioned, contributed to these 2 wins so far.
You are right, Bob, and thank Tom for us. So many 2 home run games he's had this year, and that little squibber did the job. Now we're going to take you live to Tony La Russa, who is right now in the interview room. Tony?
Things offensively. And if you just go down the list, whether it's Donovan or Stottlemyre or Allen, they get a lot of work. Give Ron Hansey a lot of credit. But that was a huge hit, and, set up a big inning. So, yeah, we got the win. I mean, it's this time of the year where you don't have any regrets. But, he got a no decision, but he was outstanding.
Another question for Tony.
Wild pitch was huge, Tony.
Comment on the wild pitch was huge. It changed the game.
Well, it's, you get that lead runner to third base with less than 2 outs, and he's got the explosiveness of a Brian Jordan. I mean, that's a huge base to get. We caught a break. But that's what happens when you have good hitters at the plate. I mean, if that guy's thinking, hey, it was an off-speed pitch, I think if I get too much of the plate, Pagnozzi centers it, and it's a line drive. So he tries to make a nasty pitch, but we caught a break there.
You think the run would have scored Tony had the ball not been touched?
Do you think the run would have scored had the ball not been touched? Would Jordan have scored anyway?
Knowing the way Brian runs the bases and his instincts, unless it had been a line drive one hopper at an infielder, I think he'd have scored. If the infielder had to go a step or 2 side to side, or if it wasn't hit like a shot, I mean, he was getting one of those rolling leads and breaks that, he's going to be there very quickly.
Any more for Tony? Rick?
At what point was Langford going to hit? Was he just holding a bat to amuse himself there?
At what point was Langford going to hit, or was he just holding a bat to amuse himself?
No, I mean, that situation of the game, I was not thinking cute thoughts about, having some fun. He would have hit. If Alicea would have walked, Langford would have hit. I thought it was a good situation to use him because it was going to be a pinch hit and out. I could have used Sweeney, but the game goes on. I really would not wanted to use Ray for anything but swinging or running. Well, I wouldn't have hit him for Pagnozzi. Pags has gotten as many big hits as anybody on our ball club. And the thing I kept, even if I was even tempted to, we're 4-4 playing at home. Take a shot at disrupting your whole. If we get the out, we got to go to a different catcher. And no, I think Pags deserved the at-bat. And even if we'd been behind, I think I would not have used Ray Langford there.
What did you think of Gwyn Bunting?
Great play. I mean, it's a great play. In fact, we thought he'd be swinging, so I thought when he went up there, he kind of looked at Maber and he saw him playing behind the runner. I said, that son of a gun is thinking about how he should advance the runner. I mean, he advances them. The worst thing that can happen is they get a run. I mean, Finley get a 2-run single. Honeycutt, he can pop you up or fly a ball. You get no advance. I thought it was an outstanding play, real baseball play.
Actually, a question about that next at-bat. You got guys on second and third there. Did you think about drawing the infield in, or were you really just hoping for that?
Question about the next at-bat. You drew some guys in. Were you hoping for the double play there, or did you think you'd get the high pop-up?
No, you're talking about second and third. No,
I'm sorry,
second and third one. No, I mean, it's a 4-3 game, and, we're playing at home. So what you want to do is, if they can, we'll take an out and give them a run. You play the infield in, it's like a little ground ball sneaks through, and you're losing 5-4. I think that would have been suicide. So the only time you might do that if you're playing on the road and you think your bullpen's real lean, and, hey, we're going to shoot the works. But no, we're going to give them the run. Except if he hit the ball at third, we had to play. But any place else, we were back.
That's Cardinals manager Tony La Russa as he analyzes the game live from the interview room at Busch Stadium. Very complimentary of San Diego, and very, very happy that the Cardinals now own a 2-0 lead going to San Diego. We'll be back with more Bob Carpenter on the field right after this.
Miss Saigon, October 23rd through December 7th at the Fox Theater.
Philadelphia, birthplace of the Constitution and the cheesesteak. I secretly replaced the cheesesteaks at Tony's with my own. They're filled with juicy marinated steak and grilled onions and peppers smothered in melting cheese. Let's see if anyone noticed. How's that Philly cheesesteak?
Wonderful. The best. Hey, you ain't Tony.
I'm his brother, Jackie.
Oh, yeah.
Paul and Jamie are celebrating their wedding anniversary.
Will you marry me? I'm sorry, I'm taken.
But Mark and Fran are wrestling with divorce.
Nothing more attractive than a woman who gets you in a good half Nelson.
It's the kind of thing that makes you think.
So this whole thing could just end tomorrow?
Yes.
How can you say that?
And tact is the key.
You dating yet?
On the next Mad About You.
Tonight at 6:30.
What a great game this was. Cardinals winning here on 11, 5-4. Back live we go now. Bob Carpenter standing by with a very happy father.
And this is Drew Bennis, and of course this is Andy. Andy and I going today. 9 strikeouts of the first 16 men you retired. Then you didn't really strike out anybody after that. How was your outing today? And you told me earlier you had a pretty good fastball today.
Yeah, I felt like for the first 5 innings I was as good as I've been all year. Had great location with my fastball. It was down. I had a good slider. I mixed in a little curveball, threw a couple change-ups. The only mistake I made was a high fastball to Caminetti, and most of the time a left-hander's not going to hit that ball. So other than that, I felt like I was outstanding for the first 5 innings. I got the ball up a little bit in the 6th inning. They got 3 hits and scored a couple runs, and in the 8th inning I kind of ran out of gas, so that adrenaline high kind of wore off. But Rick did a super job, and Dennis did a great job closing it out.
I was wondering about your adrenaline because you're facing your old ball club, San Diego. You had so many good years with these guys. Did that have a little special meaning for you today? And then also sort of the rough time you had during the postseason last year for Seattle.
Well, I can honestly say it didn't really have a whole lot of effect. When the playoffs are very special, and so the fact that it was San Diego didn't really mean a whole lot. Felt like I could look at their hitters as what they could do or maybe not be able to do, and approach it like that. Wanted to go out and throw a good game. I had to sit and chew on a 2-inning outing last year in Cleveland, and So I was happy to go out and throw reasonably well, but you know, I still gave up 4 runs, but the guys came through for me.
You okay to come back if Game 5 is needed?
I'll be ready whenever they ask me to come back, so that's not a problem.
All right, Andy, nice going today.
Thanks a lot, Bob.
Andy Bennis didn't get the win, Rich, but he pitched very well. And, of course, the Cardinal bullpen was again outstanding as Eckersley and Honeycutt backed him up well. Honeycutt got the win, Eck another save, and big part of the story in playoffs. You know, in hockey, we always say it's goaltending. In baseball playoffs, it always boils down to pitching. Cards have had great pitching for these 2 ball games.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Marvelous job. Tell the guys to have a great flight. We sure do appreciate it. We're about out of time. The Cardinals will leave immediately. They will fly to San Diego. They will then practice tomorrow. They will play on Saturday. Winning at Jack Murphy Stadium has been very tough. We'll see if they can get it done. Hope you enjoyed our Cardinals post-game show. Mad About You is next. We'll have complete Team Cardinals coverage. That's coming up tonight on St. Louis 11 News at 9. For all of us at St. Louis 11, I'm Rich Gould.